Mama!
Mama!
We made it! What it do though?
Oh, yo, sidebar real fucking quick though. I looked at Johan's face, and we didn't even do the intro yet, but I looked at Johan's face. Thank God there was no like drink in my mouth or anything, because I literally snuffled, spit out air that was in my mouth when I saw his eyes were just like, oh, what the fuck did that just happen right now?
Is that not the reaction you usually get?
We do.
Oh.
We do.
Yeah, people
Good.
think we're gonna play like a
But
recording.
like rarely do I catch that like eyes on and
Yeah.
like I literally was crying of laughter and had to hold it in to maintain. You know what I'm
I
saying?
have a very honest face.
I respect it. That face was gorgeous. That was literally a Kodak moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Defined.
Appreciate you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
What it do?
yo, we literally have one of already my favorite new artists in the building.
Talk to him, Joe.
Give it up for Johan.
Johan! Is it? Is it Johan?
Is it Johan?
Who knows?
Is it?
Well, shit. It might as well be.
Is it Johan? All my social media says, is it Johan?
Yeah. And look,
And that's how I explain it to people. Because
Is
if
it?
they ask me what it is,
Yeah.
it's like, is it Johan?
it is.
It is Johan.
We got there.
In fact.
It
Bang.
really is.
But they never really know when they type that in.
Man, it's so crazy, like how I actually came up on you. I was telling him, so I was driving, and every Friday I always listen to Spotify, like the Discover Weekly,
Yeah.
but not like the new music, your release radar. That's what it is. You
Got
know,
it.
they got like all the new music.
Very
just
Caucasian.
Very
I like
Caucasian.
that. Yeah.
And I always listen to the whole thing without looking at any artist.
Got
right?
it.
Just completely unbiased. I just want to hear the song. It might be some Demi Lovato. I might be digging it.
Shout
I
out
hope
to
it's Demi
Demi.
Lovato.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out
she's
to
lit.
Demi. Don't
But-
get in a fight with her nowadays, though.
Nah,
she may kick that ass.
She's lit. But yeah, I was listening to music, and I just heard the song "High in the Woods," and I'm listening, and already like
fucking
it's
smash,
it's
bro.
got the dark vibe, and it's coming in and just like these bass swells. I'm like, oh, this shit is dope, and then this crazy falsetto comes in. I'm like, damn, man, it's just it hit me.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening. I'm like, I hear someone start rapping after this like amazing verse and chorus of singing. I'm like, is that Vic Mensa? And I finally look at it. I'm like, who is this kid? He said, Johan featuring Vic Mensa. And I listened to the song probably like 20 times that
Yeah.
day, like back to back to back. I'm like, yo, this shit is dope. And that's when I hit you up on IG. I was like, yo, man, this song is crazy. Just know that this song is really dope.
Shout out to that.
appreciate
Shout out
that.
to like the digital age and like technology,
And it's very rare I do
social
any.
media era. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
we can do that.
It's very rare I even do things like
Yeah,
that.
because I remember when Raushi was telling me about that record, it was like he came in like screaming lightweight, and like you know him, like just like super silky smooth with it. You know what I'm saying? But like,
And it's rare I
Yeah.
even do that.
Yeah.
It's rare that I find actually a record that I'm like, this shit like hits my core.
That's awesome.
No, seriously, and not even to be on it like that. It's just
be on it like that.
But I'm
that's
gonna be
awesome.
on
That's
it like
making me
that.
think right now.
You feel me?
Yeah. Because I don't really know how that song happened either.
Really?
Sort of.
That's wild.
It was the fastest one, I think, of anything I've ever done.
Really?
Especially like the chorus. It was just like in the shower, just like, oh, yeah.
I fucking feel that.
I don't want to interrupt your story. But
no. Interrupt, baby. In the shower. No, what? interrupt in the shower, baby.
I had like a visual director that I've been friends with for a while, but I hadn't been working with him on that. And he hit me up being like, yo, I want to help you with some of your shit. This is after the Beethoven thing, which we can talk about. But he was just like, well, send me an email with just kind of like what the vision is and sort of like what, even just like words or fragments of ideas or whatever that help get the vibe so I can think of what the visual thing will be. And that was before High in the Woods. It was like after the Dangerous and this other one I had out. And I was trying to think like, well, what is it? And I was just like, and I sort of realized like, oh, this is all just about me, like coming up in the suburbs around my friends, sneaking around, like not wanting to grow up, and which is still kind of how I feel even right now.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh yeah, in fact I could just do, and it was early enough that I hadn't really formulated what the project was exactly. And his questions forced me to be like, oh shit, well I better decide what he's doing. I was like, and now it suddenly hit me. It was like, well, there's nothing I relate more than that. Nothing more central to who I am. And I was like, I could have a song that's like about getting high in the woods. Just be like, let's go get high in the woods. That's it. That's
literally,
it. It's like the verses kind of wrote themselves.
That's fucking lit.
Dude, it came out of nowhere. Like when I heard, and that's why I was so tripped out even to hear Vic on it, because I'm like, what is this song?
Yeah.
I was already entrenched in it.
Yeah.
Like I'm deep in this like vibe, just focused.
Yeah.
And then I hear Vic dropping. I'm like, what is this? What planet am I on?
I could just picture you blapping to it, just like
no one
I was so confused.
Like
yeah, exactly.
The Roushy bop.
The Roushy bop. Ooh.
I kind of like Blap better.
Yeah.
Blap
the boom
is just
blap.
so, yeah. Blap.
It's rare that you've actually had somebody on here that both Nushi and I didn't really know.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just kind of compelled to reach out to you. Like I said,
so much,
it's not something we usually do,
Yes.
but I'm very glad we did.
very glad we did
and
as well.
I'm super excited because I really do think, honestly, you are a very dope artist.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to go places with what you got. And I'm excited for your music to come out.
I appreciate that, man.
Cheers to that.
It's fucking
Feel me?
doink.
Yeah. Blap.
So that being said,
Blap.
man.
Yeah, take us
In
through.
Key and Peele, they go blip. There's a bunch of skits where they did that. Like blip. I do it all the time. And now whenever I'm testing a mic out, I always do that. I go blip, blip.
Blap.
It's so good. Anyway.
But yeah, Nushi.
Yo, take us through those woods that you kind of grew up in. Like, where'd you grow up? Yeah.
Just among the wolves,
I
man.
literally want to get high.
No,
in
but
the
for real
woods
though, I
right
mean,
now.
so I'm from the burbs outside of Boston. Anyone that's from outside of Boston will know what I'm talking about. 'Cause
Word.
it's just one vibe, and everyone I've ever met that's from this area, whatever. Actually, my drummer is from the burbs outside of Boston, but in a different direction. He like immediately got the whole vibe.
What's
I
that
don't-
vibe?
It's just kind of like, that's a good question of how to describe it. It's I
Yeah.
mean, it's just kind of like our parents are kind of there, and everything's like basically fine, but there's just like this like need for rebellion because you're a kid, and it's just like the town's really boring.
I feel
And
you.
nothing happens, and you're trying to find something fun or something crazy to do, and like, but it's just all within this kind of like confined little town space where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you make
Was
these
it like
kind
on
of
some like
magical-
Pleasantville type shit, or was it?
A little bit. Not quite that bad,
Honey,
but
I'm home.
a little bit. Not yeah. I think that's how we thought it was for sure. And there
Got
wasn't
it.
even like a movie theater in our town. It was very much just
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
definitely picket fences. Like
Not even like
actual
a
picket
drive-in
fences.
tractor trailer joint.
No, there was like a pizza place called Joe's Pizza.
Shout out.
Shout out to Joe's Pizza.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Incredible pizza. And like on 4th of July, they'd be closed for like 4 days in a row. And they'd be like, if you try to go get the pizza and be like, in honor of our great country,
Wow.
we are closed July 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. It's like, all right. Fucking Joe. And there was like, what the fuck else was there? Was the Dugout, which was this like comic sort of like trading card and candy like place that was like 2 blocks from the high school. But more like middle school, actually, was more like the vibe. But yeah, and you just go, and Joe was this dude that just had, still is probably, and you just, get baseball cards and get candy. I got a lot of candy.
Epic.
And like, there was not that much in the town. I mean, I'm really describing to you most of what was in the
So,
town.
like population of.
I mean, it wasn't tiny. It was like 23,000 maybe, but it just, I don't know. It
That's
just,
still fucking tiny.
yeah, and I
That's
think people
still
just went to other towns for stuff to do, like.
I feel you.
And then, there was a woods called the Fells, which is I don't know. And then there was a reservoir called the Quabbin Reservoir. Maybe that's not the same reservoir, but there's a reservoir in the Fells, and there's a sign that was like, do not trespass, or whatever. And we would just go, especially in high
And
school.
y'all trespass for
hang out in
sure.
the woods. Because like, where else are you going to party? Where else are you going to hang out? If people's parents is home and stuff. I mean, occasionally, like, somebody's parents are out of town for the weekend, 3 parties in a row. I mean, you know how this. It's just like fucking the burbs.
Right.
Was this a type of burb where it's like if you were born there, you were most likely staying there through high school? Like just that kind of like,
definitely. And like, and most of the people I'm friends with from there now live like a town away. My closest friends, a lot live in New York, but like most of the people, like we'll go back. It's our reunion. Every year, the night before Thanksgiving, we're all gonna hang out. Back around, Winchester.
the old stomping grounds.
Yep, and the vibe is kind of rekindled in that way.
Joe's Pizza's open then though.
Joe's Pizza is popping. It's
On
really
Thanksgiving.
fucking
Really?
Yeah, and I was always get a Barks root beer with the pizza.
Oh,
Wow.
And they always had, and
You
Joe's
get that-
wife cooked up the blondie, like a brownie, but with like, it's like,
Ooh,
you know what I'm talking about? It's like,
yeah.
It's like a vanilla flavor.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And so get the
Shout out
blondie.
to Joe's wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what the fuck was her name?
Blondie.
Figuratively.
Joe's wife was lit. Everything in there, it was incredible. It was tight. Yeah, I'm trying to think what I mean. And there was, it was just not that much happening, but it's also just like the spirit of like adventure and just kind of like
Word.
like we'll put a giant inflatable dick on top of the high school for senior week, or like we're
fucking
gonna like
feel y'all.
or we made our space in the woods and like built up like all these like shit that wasn't there, like cleared this little area of the and set up like fucking places to sit, which is using like logs and shit and like. Just and
Fucking
name these
insane.
spaces. One was called Caldera. One was called Echo Spot. One was called Jumping Rock, which is in that song High in the Woods. And these just the spaces we kind of. It was like, oh, it was a party at Jumping Rock tonight. It was this space that we just kind of found and just were like, oh, it's on the water. There's
I feel y'all.
just fucking find something. Got the hookah. Buy the hookah. Bring the hookah to the fucking spot.
Shout out to the hookah and the burbs outside of Boston.
It's crazy. I have like family that lives in the burbs of Cleveland, and I go there every Thanksgiving. And I grew up in LA my whole life.
Yeah.
And I always have kind of this like envy that I wish I grew up in the burbs. Just there's some part of me that really is infatuated with that. Maybe like boring as it may seem, it's like super cool to just know everybody and have that community.
Absolutely.
And be creative and like. Yeah, partying out in the woods and just having this vibe. It's kind of like a real family vibe when my friends, when my cousins and their friends get together. It's like this really cool, deep connection that happens that it's, I don't know, it's like this warmth.
It's like summer camp throughout the year type shit.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. And, it's sort of like
something
a funny,
very charming about it.
Yeah, exactly. Charming. Yeah. And it's sort of like, I mean, it's sort of funny to say this, but like Superbad was like the first movie I ever saw that was like that actually feels like what this was like.
Got
You
it.
know what I mean?
Got it.
And there had never really been. I mean, I think that's why that movie did so well. But I don't think it's just like it's not like a Boston thing. It's like you said, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's suburbia USA.
Yeah, I think if you're like growing up in LA or New York, it's probably a bit of a different vibe or something.
For sure.
But I think I've played that shit for enough people that have been like, yo, man, I connect with that song. When I was in high school, we used to get high on the beach, and it's just like, oh, okay, different song, but it's like
same vibe.
but it's clearly the same thing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the idea that outdoors is the only place you can escape, like whatever your family and school and all the pressure around that shit, and just like find this freedom. And when you're at that age where you're just figuring everything out, and you don't know.
What were you like as a kid?
I was like, that's a good question. I mean, I was definitely like I worked and studied really hard, and that was like the main thing. I was doing a lot of classical music, which is something we can talk about. But I did classical exclusively for the first 20 plus years of my life.
Really?
Really? Wait, when'd you start?
I was
You're, like,
playing
out the womb?
piano, like second grade for a minute, for a long, and then that was kind of like by ear, like more like casually. I mean, it wasn't like I was like regimented, like into the like piano, like classical piano. It wasn't that as much.
Yeah,
it was more just like I was playing music kind of by ear, and then I wanted to write music, and I think just like my parents, because of maybe it's the backgrounds they come from, they had like more of a classical instinct to where they were like, let's get you a teacher or whatever,
Okay.
And so that sent me down this road of like composing classical
At
music.
such a young age.
Yeah,
too.
which is so interesting.
This is over several years. So that starts around like, there was a bit where I was doing piano lessons after I'd kind of already taught myself.
Okay.
That's probably the 2 years where I played the least music of my life because I hated it so much.
You hated playing piano.
Good teacher, but it was just like, the structure was not what I wanted. And it killed the joy out of like, for me, it's by ear. I just figuring it out and like making shit up, not reading it off the page as much. But yeah, so the composing, which has kind of been my like serious musical activity until I started doing this pretty much my whole life. That shit started like 7th, 8th grade. It was really like I wanted to be John Williams, like Star Wars and Jaws and shit.
Wow.
Like, right, like
That's interesting for a kid to have that thought. Like you just, you usually it's
weird.
like, I want to be in a band or I want to be a rapper
I
or
was sort of outside of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't know what was going on in pop culture that much. My parents had no relationship to pop culture.
But what about just like your friends or?
I don't know. I honestly to this day don't fully understand how. Like, I mean, I was aware like, oh, like Eminem is on the radio right now. but I never got the song. I never heard any of it. You know, I don't know.
So interesting.
Yeah, and so like in the last few years, I've had this weird experience of like retreading all the pop culture ground of what was happening when I was that age, being like, what was, you know,
so
what was this shit?
Did your parents put you in piano lessons just what parents do? Hey, I want my kid, he's going to learn a little piano, he's going to take a karate class, and then he's going to play some soccer. Was it
I don't think it was as much like they didn't have to push me into stuff.
Got it.
Like I was always someone that wanted to like take over the world and do shit just crazy.
Interesting.
At a level, you know, like, so what it was like, we had the piano in the house. So I was just dicking around with that because it was there.
Sure.
That led to like singing in groups and stuff in middle school, whatever, like the choirs and shit like that.
Yep.
Acapella group, whatever. Thank you. And I think I don't know exactly how this all went down, but it's some combination of like getting me the lessons, you know, of the composing lessons, which is a thing, I guess, you know,
so crazy,
combined with like, the orchestra, which is the Boston Symphony, has this thing called the Boston Pops, which is like during the summer, it's the same orchestra, but they'll do like more like film music and less classical and more like film music, more like, you know, now they'd probably have like John Legend comes and does a whole set with an orchestra, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Boston Blips, though.
Yes, the Blips. Yo, the Blips are going to be... That's in my future for sure.
There you go.
So I would see the Boston Pops, and John Williams like was the conductor of that shit through the 90s. So he would come back, do all the music from like Indiana Jones and shit. And I think the combination of all those things got me like, oh, I want to be up there conducting my score to fucking Indiana Jones or whatever. And, you know what I mean? I think that's what it was. It's just like that was what I was exposed to. It was a very like weird thing to be exposed to, but I had no part of it.
That was your fucking like movie star, like, wait.
That was exactly right, which is such a weird person to have as your...
Yeah, you know, it really is to be a kid that's infatuated with the composer of the film.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You just don't hear that.
Well, the thing is also, dude, it goes deeper than that because I didn't even see these movies. I knew the Indiana Jones soundtrack.
I can feel you.
I knew the Indiana Jones soundtrack. That's the first one, by the way, so that's why I'm shouting out it. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. My dad got me that soundtrack. I still don't know why he got me that.
And have you seen the movie?
Well, now everything. But it's but there was like several years where like
you just were
I
rocking
knew
the soundtrack.
the music for that entire movie, like backwards and forwards. Like I could play you the entire score and I'd never seen the movie.
Wow, that's a trip.
Fascinating.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that movie has like deep sentimental. It's a fucking great movie, by the way.
It really is.
That and the first one are incredible movies.
Yeah, they really are.
The second one's all right, but yeah.
I feel like I'm glad you found out. Yeah, I was like, yep.
But yeah.
So when you were playing piano, just before you even got to the hit the bug for the composition, did you have were you drawn to music in a way just through that, or did that really come later, or did you feel connected through the music, just as playing piano, despite
just drawn to music as like a life pursuit?
Yeah,
it was a while before it was like the main thing I wanted to do. It didn't. It came to a head where like I was also like pretty good at like drawing and shit like that. So in terms of like school or whatever, where you're actually like, oh, you're gonna take the art class, you're gonna take the, you know, I was doing kind of both, and then it came to a head where in like I think 10th grade, it was like too many classes and I had to pick, and it was I just was like, all right, I guess music. It was really like I actually really wasn't sure about it at all.
So it was like a fucking coin flip, like almost.
Pretty much, man. And I think about
creative
that a lot,
coin
actually,
flip, just
like
like
it could have easily gone a different direction. Like, and I was good at math too. I mean, I could have just decided that's what I was. You know, like I loved math. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like you never know with this shit, but
it's insane to hear that and then kind of think about like the progression from like music composition, all these things. Like,
because like composing is. What's so crazy about composing is you're not playing an instrument.
Yeah,
so imagine being a kid obsessed with such a deep level of music and passion for music, and you're not playing an instrument, and you're not singing.
Yeah.
You're literally writing music.
It's wild. But I think that's also why I really relate to what's happening right now with producer artists who don't perform anything really. You know, or like legendary music producers.
Sure.
Like their job is to like curate other people's sound and make it into something. You know,
absolutely.
Or like move notes around in a fucking software or whatever. But they're not playing guitar. I think most of those guys don't play anything usually,
they're just bringing in
that. Actually, thing to me is more related to what I was doing classical than like if I had gone to be a touring pianist.
That's actually I can definitely agree with that.
Like just putting sound together. That's what it was. And
when you were composing, did you have, was it through like a program where so you could hear what you were composing?
Yeah, it was really shitty though. So it's there's two. There's
like video game sound.
Yeah. I mean, it was like there was MIDI, but it's like, you know, if you're making pop music or whatever, or like indie music, whatever, like you care about what the sound like. But here the point was just to have a mock-up for yourself, because the final product when you're a classical composer is a printed sheets.
Yeah.
And then the musicians take it, and that's a whole other process for them to be like, okay, I'm gonna like slow down a little bit here, and they're gonna interpret it, whatever.
Oh wow.
So I mean, so the program was like a score editing thing, and what I'm making is visual, moving notes around, and you can hear it, because it would really suck if you couldn't hear it, because you just really have to use your imagination, which I can do, but it's just not. It's just it makes it a lot less fun, and you know, just a lot more like just frustrating, I think. But I mean, that's what Beethoven did, obviously. You know, it's just like. You just have to be like, well, this will sound like this, and it'll be great, you know. But yeah, so I would at least hear like the pacing and the feel of it, but it would just be like ugly ass like violin samples and like clarinet. Right. Yeah.
You're doing it all like kind of like as placeholders.
Yeah. Just to know what it's going to sound like. But I mean, you do get a little caught. That was always like a bit of a challenge. It's like I want to make the thing sound better for my own sake, while knowing that that's not going to fucking affect.
Right.
You know, or like the trumpets aren't loud enough. I can put in a marking that'll make them play louder in the track, but which would also make them play louder in real life. And I know that in real life, you don't want them to play louder because it's going to be fine.
Right.
So you end up in like doing these things. It's just like, you know, like I have to remember not to
mental
do that
note
shit.
to take.
I don't
that
want to
off.
make it sound better to me, because that's not actually what it's going to sound like. You know, it's like approximation. I have to
wow.
Yeah.
What was composition? I'm just gonna nerd out on some music shit. Just because, dude, because I can. Yeah, I come from polar opposite of playing like punk music and hip hop.
Yeah.
Totally by ear with terrible form.
Yeah.
So
I mean, sorry, no.
Yeah. What?
Oh, you nailed it, man.
Oh, what?
I was saying and you were just like, man, I suck. And I'm just like,
dude. Yeah. Dude, I was terrible. Yeah, totally, bro. Yeah.
My bad.
With composition class, so first, was this something you told your parents, like, look, I really don't like the piano, but I love what I'm reading?
Well, I love the piano. I actually do love it.
Or playing the
piano.
But
not being told what to,
Got it,
I wanted to be free. I think it just was... the
actual lessons of it.
It fit better with what I was doing on piano, which was like, I didn't like being like, this is what it says, play it this way.
Yeah.
Got it.
I like just making shit up. Yeah. So composition was like a way to...
Creative flow.
Okay, you're making shit up. That's your job now. And it's just like, you know, and that was still tricky because you learned that you actually need to think about shit more than just, you know.
Absolutely.
But it was closer to what I was excited about. And I think just having John Williams as like this hero of mine at that age or whatever, that was like, okay, well, maybe what's the path to that, you know? And so, but I guess, I mean, I don't know if it's just like my parents or just how I am, but there was always like what is the career thing of this.
Even at that young age.
It wasn't like it wasn't like here's step 1, 2, 3. Like literally you're going to go to this college. It wasn't like that. But it was, I think I always just wanted to know like, well, what would I actually have to do to do that? Like what is, you know, I want to just actually do it. It wasn't enough to just do it like in this kind of like, I'm making music, isn't that fun? It was always just like, I actually want to be on that stage doing that. Like what do I have to do that, you know? Which
is crazy to find something like that at such a young age. It's so hard we grasp towards certain things growing up, whether it's sports or, you know, art or writing, and to find something like composition at that young age and be like, that is where I want to go and that's what I want to be. That trajectory starts there because isn't it a highly competitive thing too? Yeah. Well, what's interesting is like being in the classical world, like almost everybody you meet there has been like 100% doing that since you know they were 10 or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's very rare that you it's
meet
like
someone
sports
that at 18 was like, maybe I should do class. You know, it's just like so in a way it's like every single one of them like, and it actually there's something kind of interesting about this because you never know if any of them really at their heart should be doing it, you know, because they all got on that path a little bit early. And I think there's something kind of weird about that. And it's not even as bad
like
as
the self-fulfilling prophecy,
like
way
is
too young.
Probably even worse or something, you know, or like child actors or something where it's just like they had no say in this decision. You know?
For real though.
You know, and that's kind of fucked up. So,
Johan, you will play the piano.
I mean, and it wasn't that. And so I don't want to make it sound like
kidding.
For me, and I always felt,
totally kidding. Yeah.
No, I know. And so what's funny is I actually kind of want to like, I'm grateful that I felt late to it, you know, because it was like 10th grade and I was starting to go to the summer, like the prestigious, whatever, classical music summer programs. And they'd all been doing it for like 6 years and I'm like 2 years in or 1 year in. And I don't know what I'm doing as much. And they know a lot of people and they know, you know, the competitions and shit. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and so I felt like I was like late to the game then, which is actually something I can connect to now because I feel I'm definitely like older than most of the aspiring pop stars I work with, you know. It's just this sort of like, okay, like what is this about? And kind of
that's a trip to me.
Interesting experience to have,
but also you had like knowing that you wanted to do something really special, like from the onset.
Yeah, it was gradual. I mean, there was also like a 4-year period where I just wanted to design roller coasters for a job. You know, I mean, like
when the fuck was that?
That was like, you know, probably third.
This motherfucker just blapped me on the head. Blah.
Like 2nd to 6th grade. I'm just saying, like, it wasn't just like, I'm going to be musician with my life. Like,
no, for sure. But like, now that you brought that up,
I love roller coasters.
When did this little like Sims World roller coaster edition?
That's good because it was actually, a lot of roller coaster tycoon.
Shout out to your tycoonedness. You know what I mean?
You know, you can play that shit on your phone now. They made it in an app form. You can just put it on your phone and play it.
When was that?
I'd say like 2nd to 6th grade, maybe. Like
word.
Yeah, just like. I mean, I don't know where any of these things started and end. I mean, I don't think I was ever
off top, and this isn't like the first 48 where it's like, oh, it wasn't then.
Yo, I can also talk about roller coasters like a long time, if that's like
really.
Yeah, I was a big geek about that shit, and and still like kind of like maintain like a foot and just a little of that.
Well, take us through like a little foot shimmy though. Like I want to.
I mean, I literally like throw something at like. Where are you from? You're from
Bay. The Bay. Great America.
Parks up there. Great. Oh yeah, right. Is this
Top Gun?
Top Gun. Yeah, I can tell you about Top Gun. Like,
tell me about Top Gun. I used to love
I can tell you
Top
what colors it is. I can tell you the manufacturer.
You know what's wild?
Yeah.
Top Gun. When I was a kid, I'll never forget this. There was
this
one
used
time.
to be Paramount's, but it's not anymore, right?
I feel like it was.
Now it's just
so
like,
I used to go to Great America. I had a summer pass with my boy Joey Valone and his family. Like there's like a family from Buffalo that moved into our apartment complex, whatever. And they used to always get me a summer pass. It was me, my boy's mom, and his grandma, who was the best. And it was the funniest shit because, like, I remember one time Top Gun, we were like hitting the corners, and I'm just this like chubbalicious fat kid, and I sneezed and had this fucking booger come down. Oh. But literally imagine, like, it was lit though, like, because like literally like you hit these turns, and my head was literally just like shot down, and I couldn't lift it back up. And I had this booger just bobbling.
Oh, God.
Just bobbling the whole fucking ride. And that literally christened my memory of Top Gun forever. Man. Just like this booger bounce.
That's wild.
Pre-flubber type shit.
The cap on that story ought to be the booger bounce. On-ride photo of you with that shit coming out.
Though.
Yeah.
Just straight booger bounce, though.
That's disgusting. Thank you, though.
I mean, hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Top Gun's solid. That's really fun. Swiss manufacturer.
What's your, like... Is there a roller coaster that you love that you have not been on yet? That
like the
this is me trying to like fucking
the granddaddy of all fucking
existence. Like wait,
the granddaddy amusement park just for anyone that fucks with this shit is this place Cedar Point in Ohio.
Yep, I've been there.
Okay,
Gemini.
But that's a classic. I mean, now that's like old school shit. Now there's like 10 or 12 rides there that have been
that's a
classic. Like just all record breaking rides in their own ways. And like
yeah, Cedar Point.
All of that crazy shit. I would just go there.
Like, I didn't know it was the granddaddy of all.
It is absolutely like #1 in the world. Like all the best rides are there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out to my cousin Adam Diamond right now. I know you got the tingles on your arm because we just shout out Cedar Point.
Cedar Point is crazy in Sandusky, Ohio. I can tell you. A lot of shit about but that's like
I feel that's epic though.
That's like the Kanye of.
Well, I went on my first roller coaster was at Cedar Point. It was Gemini. That was my first roller coaster.
Nice. It's a racing coaster. They run 2 trains on different tracks. They like one's ahead around this turn, then the next one's it's tight.
Oh, that's lit.
Yeah,
it's tight.
When the fuck are we all going though?
But I want to go to Magic Mountain since I've been in LA for a minute.
We're going.
I still haven't gone yet.
Let's do that.
We're going.
Yeah,
Magic Mountain's great. It's got
they actually have the most roller coasters at any park in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's them and Cedar Point are always like jockeying for it. But
do they really?
Wow.
But Cedar Point's on like a pretty much an island, like a peninsula. So
shout out to the Cold War of roller coasters going on without us knowing about it. You know what I'm saying? Cats are arming up roller coasters out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like this whole fucking
fucking love Ohio and California just thugging it out for these roller coasters.
It's kind of a weird rivalry. Yeah,
I love that you know like the industry of roller coasters too.
Oh yeah.
That's fucking
Well, that's
awesome.
yeah. There's like a whole there's like forums and shit. It's just like any other thing that people are dorks about. It's
I
like,
feel you.
yeah.
You just dove in.
and they all know about all this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
mean, I kind of left that behind, but I just sort of I keep an eye on it.
Yeah, you got that
I just
one
like
foot in
it.
that dilly dally dabble with
They
it.
just fucking. I love roller coasters. They're so cool looking.
it's like right
I
before he
feel
goes
that.
to sleep, he's on his phone. He goes to the rollercoasterforum.com.
Yeah.
And
So
I
it's
haven't
like,
been on the forums in a minute. That's just I don't know. There's something about forums that's just like a little bit too much. It's just like these people are just I can't quite do it. You know, that was more fun when I was a kid. But it's just like not just in just any form.
you're super hyped with it.
just all forms. All forms.
You know
Attention,
what I
all
mean, though?
forms. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we all had a phase where we lived on the
he
forums.
changed his avatar. It's just like I don't know.
No, the forum that I was on for a long time, where you have a moment where you're just
Yeah.
deep in the forum game.
Absolutely.
Was OK Player. I was just on the
That's
forum.
like more respectable though. That's like a little mainstream.
But this was like 13 years ago, and it was
Right.
it was
That means
awesome.
you were cool. You were ahead of it probably.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Hey, I like the
What
roots.
was the heyday of forums? That's like 2000, maybe 6 or something, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's the
Kanye
same shit
Tiller
as like
type shit.
AIM when that shit was popping.
I feel like AIM was a
It was
little
earlier.
before that.
It was
yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
AIM is tight. I put AIM chat noises on my EP.
You know, it's going
That's
totally out of
lit.
business right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they killed it. But
Yeah.
for
Oh,
me,
did
it's
they
like
already kill it?
nostalgia.
Yeah.
they
Oh, they
killed it,
already
like,
did?
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I think.
shout out to the guy who's like, "Hey, it's coming," and then
Yeah.
the other guys were
Motherfuckers' Reader's Digest have been sitting outside
No,
of the
this
crib.
was a thing on like no, but on like
on it and
fucking-
shit.
yeah, dated
on
like
Facebook
October
and shit
6th.
though. It was like a week or two ago from just like posting like, oh my god, AIM. is
Yeah,
leaving,
true.
like-
Everybody
like,
had their
everyone's
sob
posting,
moment.
Like, what was
Yeah.
my last OA message?
Yeah.
The last time I logged in 9 years ago.
I lightweight had a pro
more,
AIM
probably.
called Large Lover 1987. I'm not gonna lie.
Large lover.
Baller for Life 1987.
That's tight.
Yeah, this is the young kid shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
everyone had horrible names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
I had a friend who was
Killer
so
Koosh.
pink, and
So
she
pink.
messaged me one time being like, does my name sound like a vagina? I'm just like- and we're like 13. I'm just like, I didn't really know if it sounded like a vagina. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Now I would just be like, yeah.
It's like nectarine.
Wow, I love that little tangent we went on.
No, but for real though.
Yeah.
We
But
need
that is, by the way, if we're talking about the life I'm
Yeah.
trying to capture, like that shit.
Yeah.
Fucking
100%.
making plans on AIM and shit, like that was 100% what this whole thing is about.
Well, AIM was such a huge part of the culture. I mean, of just pop culture. Like,
for sure.
I remember shit like you could post in your, what do you call it, the bio, whatever the fuck, the profile shit, whatever. You'd post a thing that you'd put it in and it looked like it was a quote from somebody, but everyone that looked at it, it would say it was their name.
Oh,
Do you remember
wow,
this shit?
I feel
so
you
they'd
on
be
that.
like, I
No.
didn't fucking say that.
Oh,
and you're just like,
yes.
haha, got you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but it was just like I think it was percent N, just meant like, it was just like code for just like, whoever's reading it is their name appears there, and you could do, it's just like
I
fucking
fucking feel
shenanigans.
y'all, though.
Shenanigans.
Straight covert shenanigans.
Yeah.
total shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
That's the greatest.
There's a moment on Good Kid, Mad City where he keeps talking about shenanigans.
Where was that?
I don't know. It's in one of the like transitions, one of the skits. Yeah, it's such a fucking
Shenanigan.
just being like, you getting up shenanigans?
Because I remember
Listen to that
having.
album again. Like
I literally listened to it on Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
After
Through and
Rocky?
through. Yeah.
Promise that you will sing about me.
That song was crazy. when I
Bro,
was listening to
that's my favorite record on that project.
it's incredible.
It's fucking incredible.
Strings, man.
Shout out to Rocky too with the Black Boy Fly joint.
Unreal.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. What were you and your friends like in middle school and high school? Because you had now that we but now we have this like young dude, super smart, music,
Thanks.
mathematics, little roller coaster dwibble dwabble in it. Like what was your squad? What was your squad like? You feel me?
Yeah, I saw somebody who was like, maybe it was Tyler. Somebody was just like, I think it was Travis Scott. Maybe just like, I'm going to have rides at my next tour.
Fuck.
Or somebody like that, just recently.
That'd be
I
lit.
can't wait to be on that shit.
That'd
Yeah,
be
so
lit.
like, it's good you asked that because it's like the stuff I'm describing is something that I was like around.
Got it.
But there was like a central group of like 5 or 6 dudes and like a couple girls that I'm close with all those people. But it was more them And I
Okay.
was more like the sort of like dipping in and out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which I think is part of why I kind of like, it's such a thing for me.
Respect.
Because I had this like view of it like,
Elaborate on that.
well, there's a couple elements. One is like, I think it was a little harder for me, just the way my parents were and the way shit was, like for me to sneak out than it might have been for, I think like some
Were your
of my
parents
friends could
stricter,
just
or?
be, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say like, they just wanted me to like do well in school and shit, whatever. I think everyone kind of did that to some degree, but it's just like if I left school and just didn't come home for 4 hours of that explanation, like I think there would have been like, what, They wouldn't have been like freaking out, but it would have been just like, it was harder to do that. Whereas with other dudes, it's just like, no one cares and no one's even home. It doesn't matter,
Sure.
So I think like for that reason, I was just like a little bit, I wasn't privy to everything that happened. Which means that I wanted to be a part of it. You know what I mean? And so once we all like went off
So
to
like
college,
they
and
like
shit,
sheltered it like.
a little bit. So we would come back on the summers from college. That's actually when I was more fully in it. But in a way, like I feel like they were often like reliving memories of stuff that I wasn't always there for. You know what I mean? So there's this kind of like, I always felt like I was like slightly outside of it, which is a bit, I think part of why maybe if you want to talk about this psychologically,
Sure.
that I'm like probably working through that on, like I want to relive all that shit where they maybe got the full experience and never had to. But for me, it's like I could easily go back and do 4 more years of high school in that world and be happy. Whereas a lot of people do not feel that way, For me, it's like I was just like, just by the end of senior year, I was just like, oh shit,
Oh, really?
like I want to just do all this shit, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was like a little bit more studious and maybe a little less, just adventurous.
Were
than
your
I wanted to
parents
be.
like strict, or was it more of like just like kind of
I
like?
don't know. I mean, I guess at the time I probably felt that way, but in retrospect, I just feel like, I don't know. I think all parents are kind of like afraid
Yeah,
of
for
fucking
sure.
up and afraid of their kids. You know what I mean? I think we're just a little more neurotic, so maybe it's just a little bit more of that. But
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have an older brother. Yeah, I think he had it way worse. I think that's true, by the way, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, bro, anybody that becomes a parent doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, the first kid, you're just
Yeah.
like, we have, and then once he was okay,
Like,
I
no,
got away
no
with-
parent. Like,
I got
the
away-
cycles of all
Yeah.
of life know what the fuck goes on when
Exactly.
they have a kid.
Oh yeah, that's clear. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'll know that much more viscerally one day than I
For
do
sure.
now. But yeah, like I got away with definitely a lot more shit than my brother did. And I think
Yeah.
we're different people. I think for some reason, or in
The,
some ways
the
because of
nature
that.
nurture aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I definitely was friends with all these people, and it was definitely like my crew and stuff. But I wasn't there for every single thing that happened.
Got you.
It was much more like some of my favorite and most memorable nights were the nights that I like got to fully just wild out in the fucking woods.
I fucking feel
and especially
that.
senior year, once I because I got into like college early and shit. So it's like after that, it really didn't matter.
That's
And
the
so,
beauty.
So
yeah.
then that suddenly, it definitely like
When it kind of hit.
my grades took a nosedive, I think, and I just started being like,
For sure. You already
I
got
started
in.
getting high and shit. I mean, that was a big part too. Like, junior year is when I started smoking weed. So it was like, I think that definitely changed a lot of things.
But it is driven by like a little fear, because I totally relate with what you're saying. I kind of was like that too, to an element where, man, my mom was just very hard. Like my mom was a teacher, and she was just very hard on me in terms of like doing your homework, but also instilling like you need to be kind of successful.
Yeah.
There was just that feeling that, I don't know, just like that mom's
feeling.
gift.
It's wild though, also because like it really does mold you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because like
Forever.
my parents, it's a trip because
Yeah, not in a bad way too.
it just molds you because like I feel like I got my finagle from that, because all my parents said to me was literally, get good grades, we don't care what you do. So for me it was like, okay, cool, like school's easy. I'll get good grades, that's fine. But like I was able to do whatever the fuck I wanted. Like my senior year I was absent 293 periods, but I got a 4.6 and a 4.8
That's
that
nice
year.
that they let you do that.
The
school let you do that. I mean.
no, literally, bro, the assistant principal brought me into his office and was like, because my AP Lit teacher, so we had block periods, right? And I had a homie that was in the class before me, second period, I was fourth period. And he'd tell me when we were reading like fuck poems, or like she threw a pop quiz out of nowhere. So I'd always just be gone. But he brought me in, and was like, your absences are affecting your grades and all this and all that. And like, I think he looked at me and like, I was this Persian kid that looked like hella like urban, just straight like thuggish, ruggish. But I was in the top 15 of my school, right? So he said that, and I was like, pull up my fucking transcript, bro. And all of my absences were excused, though, because my mom literally was like, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he had dental issues. Or he was feeling
200 dental issues.
Oh, it's wild. My mom would come in. It'd be 0 period. I'd be like, Mom, I'm not going to class today. She's like, okay, I love you. Just, go whatever.
That's incredible. Yeah, that was not the way with my family.
I feel you.
But no, I know what you mean, though. I think, there was just this implicit, like, I don't think they were ever really like, you got to get good grades. Like, I think I wanted to do well, and I really got joy out of it. Like, I really liked going into it. I mean, this sounds kind of crazy, but I like going into an exam and just fucking murdering it. That felt awesome,
I feel you.
I usually did that. That's usually what happened.
I feel you.
So I think just that plus like not wanting to disappoint them, or I think that was just the vibe. It wasn't,
Well, that's what it is. It's this feeling of like not wanting to disappoint, and also just this kind of like instill of fear. Like I got to get into a good college. I have the pressure of grades being such a big thing, and like I felt like I always I got good grades. I got just A's, B's, like, but just the pressure of being very disciplined and being like, okay, I need to focus here. And like, I would not go and do some things that I look back on now. Yeah. Like, I wish I maybe partied more. Yeah, wish I didn't take things more seriously. But then I'm like, well, if I did, would that have affected my...
That's hard to know.
Yeah,
and they would have though. Like,
probably,
that's the thing. Like
that feeling being kind of left out a little bit of it. Like, man, why was I so serious back then? I tried to be a little more hybrid with it, but I totally get what you're saying. Where you're like, because senior year, I totally feel you. That's when I was like, oh shit, it's senior year.
Senioritis becomes a real thing.
Good.
Yeah,
I was like, why wasn't I doing this since freshman year?
For real.
But I don't know, man.
I know it's really hard to know like where did I think I mostly live under like a premise like right now I mostly buy into the idea that like somewhere around 16, 17, 18 is when you become the person that
I feel
and
you.
whatever shit you're insecure about then you will be fighting that for the rest of your life, and I think that is pretty much, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think it's
I can definitely dig that.
I want to do the things I want to do, but it's like if I had been totally just like the fucking king of my high school, I probably wouldn't feel the need to do anything,
And most people do.
And a lot of those kids that do that, their lives suck now.
It's insane. They're literally like the hometown heroes. Like like they're married early, have kids early. So
like, I'm grateful. I mean, show you
for sure.
I don't know, like what's better
for sure.
Or they stay that person in high school, and that's where they peak at that moment.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I think.
And you're like, wait, that was it.
That's why, like in hindsight, it's 2020. You know what I'm saying? You look like
I know. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I think it's all good.
For sure, it is.
It all works out, but
hell yeah.
I mean, you really think about it, like Oprah, like she had a horrible childhood.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So, do you think Oprah is glad she had such a horrible childhood?
I mean, bro,
inspired her to be a billionaire, or do you think Oprah would be happier if that had never fucking happened? Or
I don't think. I don't think we'd have Oprah.
Instead of having to fight this, we wouldn't. For us, it's clear what the win is. But for her, though, if she could have just had a normal life and not like, there's probably something inside of her that's still eating away at her.
Well, for sure,
she's going to go make another $100 million next week.
Sure.
I mean, look at like Tony Robbins is another person who he had a terrible childhood, and he talks about this stuff, but his kind of outlook on it is he has this whole thing about blame. He's like, if you're gonna use that, like, oh, I had a horrible childhood, which is why I'm a fuck up today, or whatever, like use it as an excuse. If you're gonna blame that, he's like, blame that stuff in the right ways. Like, if I didn't have that horrible childhood, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to appreciate my wife. Because I had such a horrible mother. So now I know I cherish that. I wouldn't have this type of drive, this type of work ethic if I didn't see it or live through this. Sure. And I think it's just about the perspective you have. And look, to each their own. You might be totally right. Maybe at the root of all of it, they might be fighting that for years and being like, fuck it, I'm going to make that.
Look at Kanye. Look at he's the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
And he is not fucking happy. I mean, he seems like he's happier right now than he was a year ago, but like, You know what
I mean, I feel like we all go through
really want to be Kanye.
I feel like we
don't
all
wanna be
go through
Kanye.
our.
That looks terrible.
No, he doesn't look happy.
He does not.
Yeah.
But we
He's
all
not
go through our
happy.
ebbs and our flows, bro. Like we have,
Yeah.
like this is the thing. Like I look back at it now, like from what what I've experienced in high school and like all this shit, and it's like I look back and it's like I think about what I tell my kid. You know what I'm saying? Like during this time, and it's only like you can only tell him to just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna keep getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when we're in that high school mode, we feel that like, oh my God, we're not in the mix or this and that and the other as much as we want to be. Or some kids are, and they're that like hometown hero that stays in junior college for 8 years in their hometown and then like, you know, works at the pizza shop. But like, when you really look back at your life, like I feel like the kids that have went through shit are always looking for something greater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't have
if
that
they're
like
able to turn
hunky
around.
dory at all times and feel motivated to like conquer the world type shit.
True.
It's a fucking.
And I didn't even like go through shit. Like I also don't want to make it sound. I didn't come out from
No, I
Like,
feel
my
that.
life is fine. You know.
No, for sure.
It's like no matter who you
But
are,
there's
you
like
will
that
always
once.
seize upon the whatever things didn't work
Yes.
perfect for you. That shit. And I really believe like whatever shit wasn't perfect for you when you were 16, 17, 18, it'll always be about that.
For sure.
Like your definition of success and happiness will always be about those things and getting those things that you didn't have.
That's interesting as fuck.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Crazy perspective.
Yeah, it really is though. I want to take us through this. Like, academics were heavy for you in high school. Music was obviously
Music, yeah. So I was in the acapella group.
okay.
I
Oh,
ran
really?
the acapella group for 2 years actually.
Oh,
really?
That was a good
Okay.
album. That was fun because
So this is why
Okay.
this is how you know how to sing.
it's complicated. It's more complicated than that, and I'll tell you why. I only have ever sung bass in acapella groups. Oh. So I never was going up on the mic being like, "Na, na, na," like I was always just like, literally my life in those groups was like, doom, ba-doom, doom, doom, doom. You know what I mean? So I'm good at that shit, and I understand music, and I was able to write these parts out, and I understood, you know, how to arrange, I did all the arrangements and shit. But I never really had the confidence to get on the mic, and I think I was a little scared of it. I mean, I always would do it, but it was never like, I wasn't like the star soloist of the group by any means. You know, I really kind of hated it. And a big part of that also was that all the songs we would do were like Maroon 5 range, which I can't sing.
Yeah.
And you're saying like I sing really high in the woods in a lot of these songs, and I sing, and obviously I speak really low, and I can sing down here if I want. But like there's this middle range, which is like Bruno Mars, Adam Levine territory, that I cannot do at all. And I sound horrible on all of those songs.
Wow.
Unless you move into a different key or whatever. So it's like, that's the shit we were doing in the group, so I could never do it. And I was just like, oh, I guess I have too low a voice to do this. So I would I'd stay out of the spotlight and be the genius behind the scenes, just making the whole shit sound
Orchestrating it
good.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, like directing it and shit like that.
And
So
you,
that was,
you would arrange it and compose the different
yeah.
parts.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did like 25 arrangements for my high school group.
Awesome.
fucking lit.
And I did, yeah. And so that was like a good, but it definitely was a moment. It's that, and then there was this talent show in 8th grade where I played like New York State of Mind by Billy Joel on the piano and sang it.
Oh,
and again, I didn't
shit.
really know any like contemporary pop music, but I knew just some random shit like that. And like,
Yeah.
you know, and I did that, and people went nuts. And that was a moment of just like, oh shit, like there's something here. And it took me a long time to be like, oh, I should actually be a singer and an artist. You know, there was like a 10-year gap in there.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a moment of like, oh, music, like people like that I'm good at music. That's something that actually gets me that kind of love that I want.
And the reception
from my
felt
friends
good.
and the community. So yeah, so that was definitely, those two things were what drove it for that period of time.
That's fucking epic.
Awesome,
bro.
man.
And the composition, actually, the classical shit was like a side thing that everyone knew I did it.
Yeah.
And it was very easy for people to be like, oh, musical genius, because it's just like, it just makes sense. Like, oh, he composes music, you know?
Yeah.
But no one actually ever heard of that music, and no one knew what I was doing. It was just very,
Sure.
it's like separate life of mine with these classical nerds. And then in high school, I was like the acapella dude, and I did the plays and shit like that. And so, yeah. But it was all very nerdy on both sides of it.
I could dig
If you put
that.
it all together, none of that shit was cool.
I could dig that though.
I mean, but it is though.
that's swag.
It was cool in the
It's
context or
swagoo,
whatever,
bro.
but it is funny
Yeah.
though when you meet people that are in high school making like incredible like indie electronic music. It's just like, those people must really have no friends in high school. Like, their life is on the internet, you know. But for them, like they're the ones that are like, when like this 19-year-old producer is like taking over the world. Like that's those people, you know.
For real.
I wasn't anywhere near figuring that out at that time.
And you hadn't like really started, aside from composing, you hadn't really touched, because I want to kind of get into this aspect too.
Yeah.
You were kind of out of touch with pop culture,
100%, completely, yeah.
which is it's just weird
wild.
to me.
Yeah, it was wild. I still don't really get it, like, because I guess most people don't. It's not like your parents. That's always how I explained it. It's just like, oh, my parents were totally disconnected from pop culture, but like, why would anyone else? No one else takes it from their parents.
But what about just your friends?
I don't know. I just don't. I honestly can't figure it out. I mean, I think maybe because I was just a little detached from like it wasn't like, oh, we're all going to see this movie, let's go. Like I probably wasn't there when that shit was going down as much, but this is something I'd love to figure out about myself. I honestly don't know.
bro, like a
'Cause
deep
it's such a-
dive
Maybe I'm
back.
just a weirdo. I think maybe I just never cared. I don't know, or something. I never felt the need. I think some people maybe they want to know what everybody's talking about.
So was
And I
your
think I was always just like,
But it's also like
Okay.
a thread that connects so many people too,
Yeah.
which is like, I mean, aside from like, oh, I don't listen to that type of music, or I'm not really
Yeah.
up on that, but it's also this being it's something that people share, right?
I think, yeah, maybe just having less of a, like, not the most active social life maybe insulated me from that a bit.
And also, I mean, the stuff you were listening to and attracted to was not what your average 16, 17-year-old kid.
But like I'd go to my parents would go to some party and I'd just like talk to all their friends, you know?
Yeah.
I was great with adults, you know what I mean?
I
It's
feel
like, maybe that's
you,
what I was
though.
expecting. But it's not like I was talking to the adults about music, you know, it's whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I think maybe I just a little bit disconnected, like middle school.
Were you bumping like classical? Like was
And then,
that?
yeah, well then at some point I was so deep into that shit that it was that, and like also musicals. I was really into like musical theater for a long time, and I still
Got
am
it.
actually. But yeah, so it was a lot of just like kind of weird shit like that. But
still, I mean, there's still a lane there, though.
yeah, and I was friends with people that were into that stuff a little bit.
Yeah, it's just interesting to I guess, hearing the music you're doing now and what you're pursuing now, and we'll obviously get there.
Yeah.
But to come from a background of like not knowing really about Eminem or listening to like Outkast
In
or,
the
like,
States, like wait,
I mean,
like,
yeah,
like even like third
yeah,
world
I was
countries
aware
are like
of it.
5
I'm
years
aware of it,
behind.
but not
type
like-
I
shit.
never like click play on it on Hey Ya. I mean, I definitely know how the song goes because I just heard it everywhere.
right.
Yeah,
But I never like click play on it. I never like I didn't know what they
so
looked like
that's
until
so
like, a couple
interesting.
years
And I
ago,
love
you know?
that Hey Eyes like the
that's so interesting.
But
bro.
yeah,
Yeah, but that was the moment because I remember
Sure.
that actually because that was when I was trying to get into the acapella group and they were singing that song. And it was like this big moment because everyone was talking about
Like,
that song.
hey.
That's like that's like the
actually
biggest
was,
hit of
yeah.
the past like 15 years or something. It's
Crazy.
Like the success of that song is apparently like I think I read this somewhere. It's like pretty unprecedented.
Bro, that song was
Yeah,
ginormous.
that shit was insane. It's also like a weird song. If we're gonna nerd out like musically, it's a pretty, and I think that's often true of like some of the biggest songs have that place in the culture because they're actually like a little off, you know, like a weird chord progression or like a weird rhythm or something. Like the number of bars, it's 15 bars in the chorus.
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
think. Yeah, it's like not normal,
That's fucking
And-
wild.
and I think shit like that actually is often a big reason why something is just like
and I
the
believe
whole world has to deal with it. You know? Like,
no, yeah, because it is a little off. Like I believe Andre, and I hope I'm right with this, but fact check me out there.
Yeah,
But
real news.
real news. I believe Andre had like a bass player come in to play that line, do 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 do, you know, and it was too perfect. So instead, he played it because he wasn't that great, and it like worked perfectly.
Andre.
Yeah,
Well, Andre's a fucking weirdo. That's
Yeah.
why it's good.
but that's why it's like
Because
even,
of course he would do 15. Like he's
no, and even if you listen to like the bass line in
that's
that,
why it's so dope.
yeah, and if you listen to like the
Yeah,
bass
yeah,
line
it's
in
all
that,
off the bass. Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole song is off the bass.
but it's like in the
Yeah.
bass, like
yeah,
as a bass player, it's hard to catch it. Like I'm like, it's not really perfect.
there's it's basically it skips in one spot. Basically,
Yeah.
that's how it kind of is.
But even the feel of it, like I'm talking about,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like the actual feel
Oh, I
of
feel you, yeah.
where he's hitting the note, it's not right on. It just there's like this weird pocket that he tapped into
Yeah.
that made it so perfect.
And he's a
And
musician. I actually think a lot
amazing,
of times like
amazing.
Yeah, it's like technical skill sometimes can get in the way of like musicality.
100%,
For sure.
I felt
dude.
that the way what was musical, like what was just human about it.
Yeah.
and that's why it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that whole song feels like that.
Yeah.
The whole song feels human.
That's a big thing about when you're in in the fucking software now, just making pop songs, just like trying to make sure that you don't, because it's so satisfying to lock everything in, but sometimes you want to be like, that should just be a little late every time. That snare right there should feel like a time,
Well, the one part that got me
that can be hard. Yeah.
in High in the Woods was the I told you about this, that tuba.
Oh hell yeah, that was my girlfriend's idea.
Love that.
I think she heard a tuba on like an Odessa record or something.
Oh,
but it was a totally different sound. Like theirs was like the Kanye, like brah, 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 but she just told me, she was like, you should put a tuba in something, because I heard in this song, I listened to the song, I was like, oh yeah. And but then it kind of made sense too, because of marching band, high school marching band. It's all the fucking same thing. And then once it fucking worked on that song, I've thrown the tuba on everything. And I do my live show with a tuba player.
I love that.
Really?
Because how are you going to see a live show with a tuba player and not be like,
that's lit.
yo, did you see those dudes with the tuba? Like, how are you not going to?
And a tuba is so like encroaching.
It's dope.
It really is.
And on some of the
It's bigger
songs,
than
it
most
just makes
people.
no sense,
Yeah.
but it's just so, yeah. And actually, I should say, technically speaking, the dude he's playing the sousaphone, which is, so the tuba is the one that you hold. It's like this. You knew this. The sousaphone is the one that wraps around your neck. You know what I'm talking about? It looks like a big fucking snake like around your neck. Which is even better. That's
Yep.
Yeah, I knew.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
this.
for sure.
The sousaphone.
Yeah.
The sousaphone.
I'll show you
The sousaphone?
And the snozberry is. Yeah.
But I'll show you a picture though. You know what I'm talking about. The sousaphone's the marching band, the one that's like all around your fucking neck that you're supporting on. Yeah. Which I
Epic.
love, because it takes it even more to that place, and it's just so ridiculous.
Fuck.
It looks like the Roots or something, but it's just like
in
the context of the music I'm doing, it's like even more ridiculous. So it's like
I could
I'm
dig
very
that.
happy about that moment.
I could dig that.
And yeah, I want weird shit. I mean, I want to always find something that's just like, what the fuck is that doing in that song? That is how I feel like everything needs to be.
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to college and I went to graduate school.
Holy shit!
Shut the fuck up.
I got a graduate degree in classical composition. It was a 6-year. I know it. Well, I think that's.
I knew she's
awesome.
angry with you.
No, that was fucking awesome.
I know,
It's like
yeah.
a mind fuck. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think that's also why I feel like oftentimes I'm with people that are much younger than me that are at the same place musically, because in a way I almost put my whole life on hold to just go.
Wait, hold on.
college.
So
But I did music all the time. But
I
yeah,
want to.
and I did the
Bring
acapella
this
group.
back. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is like going way too crazy on my sled right now. I'm gonna bring this back. Why did I bring a Christmas reference up for no reason? It doesn't
Happy
make sense.
Thanksgiving.
We're coming up on
Halloween, right?
Do y'all know an artist named Michael Christmas?
Yes.
A rapper?
Yes.
That's my dude.
Lit.
But I can't hear Christmas and not think of, because we just call him Christmas.
Yeah, Michael Christmas is fucking lit though.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he really is. So I want to ask you this though, then. At that nexus in like high school, you were working towards getting into colleges. You got into your colleges early. Did you have in mind at that age, like that, like 18 moving forward? Did you have an idea in your head of, okay, this is what I'm going to be pursuing?
It was go be a classical composer and maybe write musicals, which was itself, those are two separate genres.
Wild.
Yeah, and that was all true until, well, this is all, we can talk about college too, but the turning point is, I think it was Thanksgiving break 2010, I think it would have to be. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy just came out. I had not heard about it. I'm at home.
You hadn't heard about it
yet, and this is the moment. And a bunch of us are tripping on acid on Thanksgiving break.
Shout out to fucking
And my
Thanksgiving.
dude Greg, who I have to shout out because Greg, this dude is
What up, Greg?
This dude is responsible for a lot of things that have like deep interest in my life that just kind of like
Love.
where the fuck did that come from?
Love.
This dude, he sells shit really well. And he was
Incredible.
just like, dude, listen to this album. It was at a party. It was like a few of us, and they were just playing it all night, and we're tripping, and it's that fucking album. And I'm a classical composer,
I fucking
and you know that album,
Yes.
and that was it. So then there was like a 2-year period where I'm just listening to this album every week or two while still in grad school. That's when I started grad school, classical music, doing classical music, living classical music, still no relation to pop culture, but just listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
And when that album, the intro is just like
The first song is incredible. Yeah, the first song is
kills.
Dark Fantasy. Yeah, that shit is. Yeah, that's one of the biggest moments on that album for me. When it's just so ridiculous.
And you're
Really
still
epic.
in this classical
So
music
epic.
Yeah,
vacuum.
and listening to this, being like, how the fuck is this something that millions of people are listening to right now?
Yeah.
Because it really was, like, it wasn't 100% the classical thing that I was doing, but it was just like, it was a lot of those things that I really cared about from that world and had grown to like really value in music, represented in this like basically pop album, you know, from my perspective, pop music, just like, you know, mass culture music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took a couple of years of working through that, which is the couple of years I was in grad school. And by the end of grad school, I was just like, I'm going to go do pop music.
Wow.
That's insane to me.
And for a while, I was just making shit that sounded like beats from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
I feel you.
With like my vocals on top.
That's a great thing to look towards.
It was tight.
It trips me out how like the soul influences are classical only, like non-pop culture at all type shit.
And that's what I mean. Like, not even what
Like
you
when you think
listen
about
to.
like producers or like guys getting in the game, like they have like their their mentor producers or their
it's
like
classic
heroes
pop
that they
music.
look up to.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody in this sphere of music was on your radar at that point, even in 2010.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
Crazy. And
2010,
and
bro.
and I'm saying aside even from
College Dropout wasn't even on your radar.
Not at all. You know, and that was actually a really weird experience because
which is crazy.
I went
It was
back
My
to
Beautiful.
listen to-
So much Kanye has happened. Not even 808 Heartbreaks.
Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah, no, it was actually a really crazy
Which was-
experience going back because the summer of 2013, Yeezus came out, and this is after the 2 years I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Finished with school. I'm in DC. I played piano in a play for 2 months, and I had all this downtime because the play it's just every night and all day. I don't do it, you know. And I just bought a copy of Logic. I'm learning how to produce. I'm teaching myself how to write songs. I'm listening to Yeezus the whole summer. And then Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'm just like, oh shit, I should probably
Bro,
like
these two Yeezy albums too, though.
those are the
Unreal,
two. Those are the
unreal.
two, by the
And
way.
like,
I can talk about that all
it's
night,
funny
but-
because like those are the two that like,
Yeah.
like when you think about it, even pop culture wise, it's like, oh, what happened to the old Kanye?
those are
right?
the two. Yeah.
When they think of these two albums,
Yeah.
and these two albums are the ones that like hit you like that,
Yeah.
right? It's a trip to me.
But I'm going back and listening to fucking College Dropout in 2013, being like, "Oh, this isn't
was-
that crazy."
how
this
was
is
that
kinda
for
weird.
you?
Well, it was really weird for me because it was kind of like it didn't have a lot of the things I loved about Dark Twisted Fantasy. It took me a minute, but I'm also just someone that has to listen to a song like 5 or 6 times before I really start to be like, okay, you know.
Got you.
And so I just forced myself. I made a playlist on Spotify that was all of the Kanye albums in order. And that was my summer. It was just Yeezus and everything else before that in order, and just slowly getting into it. And you know,
Which is
first
so
songs,
weird.
the first songs that made me were the sad ones, like fucking Family Business and fucking what the fuck is it called? First song of the second album with Adam Levine.
Oh fuck!
Heard Him Say.
Yes,
Heard him say.
So all those things, and that one really hit me too, because just like you felt this kind of like moment from him of just like, well, now I'm huge. Like what now? And there's this sort of like sadness to it, and that song's kind of sad to me. You know, like
It really is though.
And what's crazy though, even like taking it just back to when Kanye first came out. Yeah, please. With Through the Wire, like.
Yeah, oh, that song is and I'll
Like,
play that like
dude,
in the entire
when I-
version too. Just that song is.
Dude, Through the Wire.
Yeah.
I remember being in Cleveland. Shout out to the Burbs. I was in Cleveland and I saw the video. Was it the video? I think I saw the video of Through the Wire.
Video.
And yeah, I was watching.
It's not a real video. It's sort of like a montage.
Yeah,
of
like a
who is this
montage.
guy, Kanye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my buddy Amir, and I was like, "Yo, have you heard this song Through the Wire by this dude Kanye West?" And we were just vibing on that song, and I know like I didn't know about Kanye's production prior or who he was as a producer.
Yeah.
This is really my first introduction to Kanye.
They did a really
And
good job.
Completely fell in love with the
label and everything. Just like
because what got me about that song was the bass line. It just was just so great. Do 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 do.
it's a crazy progression too. It's a fucking incredible song. I just love that the real soulful, just like kind of sad.
Oh
shit
my
like that.
god, yeah. And that, exactly that kind
Barely
of.
ripped it all. It's like a half diminished seventh chord. It's so sad. You don't hear that in music right now.
Yeah, the soulful, the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
That you felt, you believed it, it evoked something out of you, and
That shit was crazy.
and for me, honestly, like I love Dark Twisted, love Yeezus, but to me, 808 and Heartbreaks was my favorite album.
Yeah.
For
That was
that,
the most important album I think that he did.
just for the emotional, like
Like in terms of culture,
yeah,
that was the one that's why we're doing what we're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, College Dropout was pretty crazy though when it came out.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, College Dropout was pretty crazy.
Was literally certified classic.
Yeah, it was
the moment it dropped.
It was crazy on kind of that cultural level.
Oh man, I wish I could have.
808 Heartbreaks was like, it felt like a maturity. And
Yeah, for
it was
sure.
just, it was like,
but 808s and Heartbreak was this,
people
like-
fucking hated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 808s and Heartbreak was,
bro.
it was
No,
just
no.
like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Like,
But
no,
I'm-
dude,
people
He hated it.
But I'm saying,
I still kind of
I
hate
No,
it.
but I'm saying
loved 808s. No,
No.
but like you either loved it or hated it. There was no like
because it wasn't that pop album like
Yeah.
that. Because, and this is what I'm saying, like same with like
Heavy Cudi
dude, same
influence
with
on that
Yeezus.
project,
Yeah, yeah,
People fucking hate Yeezus. Same shit. But like
feel
that's
it.
when it first shifted from everyone loving Kanye to 808 Heartbreaks. You saw when I say
he became an artist.
yeah, when I say maturity, I mean
Facts.
that's what I'm saying. When I say
Facts.
maturity, I mean like you saw him develop into like, oh shit, this person is fucking amazing. He just hit amazing status for me. Like he's well beyond just making these like pop songs.
Yeah.
This is now very fucking dope.
To me, like 808s,
Crazy.
it's tricky because like I think a lot of people right now making music and coming up right now, that is the Bible, 808s and Heartbreak. You know, and I think that I get why that's the case. You know, that and Kid Cudi's entire output, like Brockhampton or something, like those guys talk about.
Bro,
Kid Cudi.
Cudi's a fucking monster,
right,
bro.
and I get that shit. Kid Cudi, by the way, is incredible. But like, I think 808s to me is like, this was the moment where he was like, I'm gonna just try some crazy shit,
Yeah.
and have the audacity to do it. I actually don't think a lot of the album really works, but that's why I say it's important. Like he had to do that shit.
It's art.
That was the moment where it's just like, this guy's gonna take risks and do crazy shit no matter
Yeah.
what happens and try to push the culture forward. And it's like, I think in retrospect, like there's only like 4 or 5 songs on there that I'm really just gonna bang on repeat personally.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of weird shit on there, but it doesn't matter. Like that point was that without that album, we would not have, like literally Drake would not exist without that album. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
So
Factual.
it's just like to me, but then I think to me personally, it's Dark Twisted Fantasy is where he fucking nails it and so on. You know,
It's insane.
Dark-
that
yeah,
it's,
yeah, insane.
it's incredible to me how insulated you were from pop culture,
Yeah, I know.
especially in a musical regard, like as a composer and a creator, and then this Kanye like hits you.
well, that's because that's the only one that could have connected with what I was.
Well, that classic, the intro, the "Can I get much higher?"
is incredible.
That-
I think there were things that could have slept, you know, like St. Vincent and shit like that. The National that like people around me were kind of buzzing about that like could have maybe done it, but I just don't know. Maybe it's just coincidence or timing or whatever. But I think possibly like the Kanye shit was the only one of those things that had
Do you
the
fuck with Dead Mouse?
total
I
audacity.
mean, not Dead Mouse. Fucking wow.
Daft Punk.
No.
That's what I'm gonna say because Daft Punk to me is one of the only other artists on that level. It's massive,
How did I just blank? No, I was part of
but like doing crazy shit. Oh yeah.
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse. There's so many goddamn
I was
mouses.
like, Dead Mouse, no. Fucking music gods, forgive me. Fuck.
saying Gray Mouse because of the gray.
I fucking feel you.
This is a funny thing though, because like you're now like fucking. How do I not know that? This is like the moment where I'm just like, yeah, I did classical my whole life. Sorry, you know.
I feel
And I'm
you.
just like I can just proudly be just like
I feel you.
ignorant, and I'm so
I'm
fucking
literally
ignorant.
thinking
I
of
really
Danger.
am.
I'm literally thinking of Danger Mouse, say Dead Mouse, and I'm like, but like I feel like
You're still
Danger Mouse is a
apologizing for it.
producer
I just
that
don't
you
care. I just don't know anything. I'm
And-
still catching up.
No, but that's the beauty of it. Like
And I get to experience it new now. Just in
in
context,
that
which
blank
is-
slate of yours.
Yeah.
But like, it's actually really interesting to me because you come from a background and a desire to compose.
Yeah.
And now you're in this realm of music, wanting to do pop records and different types of like naturally like different types of records, but
Yeah.
like infiltrating this space with still a blank canvas,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it makes it hard to like I don't have allegiances to stuff as much as some people do, you know?
Interesting. Yeah, it's
So
true.
there it's easier to get off track sometimes, you know? Because it's just like, oh, well, that's cool. That's new to me. Let me try that. Let me try that. It's like, but I need to fucking focus and like keep it, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
sometimes you end up having to kind of create that controlled thing of like, well, these are the rules. This is what Johan does. Is this, it's this, it's this, it's this. Those are just the rules I'm going to make for myself, you know? Because if I don't do that, there's no like 20 years of I just want to make this type of music and I finally
feel
found
you.
it. It's just this whole- I'm like a kid in a fucking candy shop. Just like, well, I could take these fucking Sour Patch Kids or I could run over there and get the chocolate. I don't really fucking know. I mean, I like it all and I really do.
I fucking
You
feel
know?
that.
And
though.
so it's like I gotta fucking yeah. And I think
But
Yeah, you hear that.
yeah, no, I mean, I think that's actually more of a gift, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
Long run, I think so. But
Yeah,
it's,
I mean,
yeah, but it's
because well, right now in music, it's just so it's so gray. There, you don't have to be genre specific. You don't have
can do
to
anything.
even categorize anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's where your gift is really going to shine, and it already is, to be very honest.
I appreciate you.
Because it is a fallback when you have that allegiance. Like, all right, well, and this is why it's so crazy to me that your disconnect from pop culture. Because I feel it's something that is such a hardcore identity for some people.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, and you identify with your music, with what you wear, with who you associate with what you talk about, what you believe in, and from all music is such a social thing. It's more than just like what you listen to. It has such a social effect. You know, I mean, for just I think a lot of people involved in
It's
music.
about being part of a culture, I think, especially
Yeah.
for listeners, I think. And it's just like sometimes it's like you have to kind of live in that culture and commit to it in some ways to really connect with people.
And
It can be hard to be just kind of like looking at it as this like scientist in a lab just playing with shit, you know, and just like it feels sometimes like
it's something I envy though, man, because honestly, having that commitment, it's kind of weird. Like it can become challenging, right?
Definitely.
You can box yourself into this is the person I've been, this is what I like, this is my identity. How am I gonna venture out of this or even try something new? Because you're so locked into kind of who you are.
I don't fit into that shit. I just like I like things that are good.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what that's going to be, and it can change, and I want to just have that flexibility, and I think, but it's also tricky because it's just like you want to present people with something that they can make sense of.
Yeah, and also
I think that's part of what art is. You know, just give them a story that they can fucking relate to and enjoy, and like
100%.
empathize with.
No, 100%. And it's a story and it's a vibe and it's a feeling. That's why, you know, when we were talking before this, it's like putting out music and doing what you're doing now and experimenting and finding yourself in this journey and treating it like a journey, right? Like treating it as embracing that discovery aspect of it. Because people are going to buy into you, you know, and who you are. And they're going to either be fans of who you are and what you do, whether you write that type of record, or it may change. And I think going back to even Kanye, I mean, this was so brilliant about him. Like, he really was one of the dudes who broke those barriers with music and cross genres and was able to connect people through breaking those genres and living in this weird kind of gray area. You know, it's like, yeah, it's hip hop, but like, he literally took the one dude on the planet who is completely disconnected from pop culture, totally immersed in classical composition, and brought him from the depths of that into this thing that unites everybody. Like that's power, man. And he was, and again, it shows through him breaking those barriers with genre and music. So I think so seeing what you're doing and being, that's why I envy that. I'm imprisoned by genres that I have allegiances to.
Yeah, right. You have years of life that you've lived. With relationship to
and opinions
culture.
that have been set.
For me, it's all just like,
oh, that's new.
what's that? What's
Yeah.
that?
It's
really
so
weird,
free.
man.
It's
People
so
play me
free.
shit from the '80s. I'm just like, oh, that's cool.
It's refreshing
I
to
didn't
have
realize that was
For
happening.
real, that's a
It's
trip
a wild.
to
No,
me.
I really feel like I'm
Seriously.
like some dude in a movie that just woke up after a fucking coma and it's just
For real though.
Yeah.
Like no Beatles.
I'm a couple
no-
years in, so I kind of like. Yeah, I mean, there was like snippets of that shit. I'll tell you, there was a couple big exceptions.
Okay.
Billy Joel, which is cheesy as fuck, but the shit actually is really well crafted. There's no way around that shit. But Nirvana, I know every fucking song by Nirvana, every word, every chord, every note. Yeah, and but that's not because I was like, that's not because I was like cool and into Nirvana. It's because my brother was into Nirvana when they were actually blowing up.
Word.
You know, or just maybe a little bit after, but he was kind of in it, 96, 97, whatever kind of moment where that was still happening. And I just kind of took it all from him. Cheers.
EDP's heading out.
And so I just like got into the music and it's really musically entertaining, but also just like but I never went beyond it. I was never like, oh, what's Pearl Jam?
I
about?
feel
that was
you.
it. It was just like Nirvana. That's it.
Which is so weird because I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, just because what's so weird with Nirvana, and actually Nirvana was like my first allegiance in anything. But it makes sense because Nirvana was like culturally, it wasn't even about the music. It was, it made sense that you didn't go to like Pearl Jam or Stone Temple Pilots or like it's not about grunge music. It's about what is this thing that connects bigger than this,
But I didn't even in retrospect I think that's also a big part why we still talk about Nirvana more than we talk about those other acts. But at the time I wouldn't have even known that. I mean, it's literally just like these are the discs at my brother's table, like, on his desk or whatever. Like there was no context. I have no, what I mean? It's just like, but once I had it, oh man, they're good songs though.
I learned to play bass by playing Nirvana.
That's incredible.
I bought a book, formed a Nirvana cover band, and all we did was play every Nirvana song. Because the bass is so simple, but it's so well written. He kind
of like does some weird shit in some of those songs that just like he'll play along with the chords and then for a couple minutes he'll like
go off.
Kind of hits this, like Lithium. I think it's like 7 or 8 chords in that loop.
Yeah,
and then 2 of them he's just doing shit that is really weird, and then he goes back on.
It's phenomenal. And
I love that y'all can hear it that way. I'm over here like,
dude, I was playing
Head
like
bob.
Lithium on the piano. That's like what my it would just be like. Okay, this is like doon.
Yeah,
like I'm playing on the piano. Like I just like that's what kind of piano player I was. I was just like anything I hear that I like, I want to figure out how to play it on here. And it's a good instrument to do it on too, because it's not just like, oh well, these are the chords. It's like you have the entire musical spectrum of notes in front of you. And you really get to understand like what
it's insane to think of like the mad chemist that you are, and like how like untapped that quantum fucking world of yours is. Like,
I honestly feel that way. Like I feel like there's some shit that's gonna happen.
Trip.
That's gonna be insane.
Yeah,
and I haven't figured out what to do, but it's like, oh sorry, I just want to make some fucking crazy shit, and I think I'm like I get caught up sometimes in just wanting to really. Like, I want to build a platform that Kanye had when he made Dark Twisted Fantasy, Well,
that takes a career.
It takes a career, but it takes making shit that everyone wants to listen to.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes a pressure to like, not buy from other people, just for myself. Like, I really want to have that universal appeal. And then I want to go fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's harder for me to just be the guy that's going crazy in his room for 20 years and then finally it pops. I want the fucking platform.
I want to know
I can really just
what that switch was for you, or what that switch was rather.
Yeah.
From like, because you went to college and grad school like with composition still in mind.
Yeah.
When did it like switch into like?
It was a 2-year process. It was so I went to Yale. It was undergrad. It was like the most.
All right, we're done.
Hey,
well, I told you I did good
podcast over.
grades.
No, you got
everybody, thank you, Johan. Thank you so much.
I told you I got good grades in high school. That's all it is. Literally, like Yale is just a group full of people that did. I did both.
Undergrad, yeah. Oh, both. Okay.
But that's I'll talk about that. So like Yale is just a big fucking family of people that worked really hard in high school.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not all smart.
For sure.
They're not all like a lot of them don't have an interesting idea in their heads.
Yeah.
But like they all did
got it
really
done.
good in school in high school, and they all did their SATs real good and shit like that. Just like fucking like went home and studied.
Academia
that is
101.
who went to Yale.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of them are fucking incredible people, and a lot of them are not.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's like I want to dispel the notion that it's just, and there's a lot of like historical reasons why it's like. A lot of U.S. presidents and shit that came out of there and all that type of thing. But in the end, it's really just like a lot of kids that are just like machines at working hard. That's mainly what it is. You know what I mean? And in a very particular way. Because it's not just kids that made beats all day. It's kids that just like did math all day.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was limited. But
what was that like?
I mean, it was cool. What was good about it, honestly, because we were talking about like, did I feel pressure from my parents in high school? Like when I got to college, like they were just like, all right, like, don't flunk out, but we don't
You're
care
here
anymore.
now.
Just do whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? And I really did. And I took a shit on my grades, in a lot of areas. And what I did instead was I spent every waking hour putting on like shows and experimental theater productions and being in another a cappella group and like touring with them around the world and just fucking doing, just making stuff. And like meeting people that were making
So the
stuff.
experience became something really dope to you.
It was
then.
connecting with people that were creative and making cool shit. And it struck one thing that's so nice about it is like outside of all the classes, like they just have money and they'll just be like, here's a few $1,000, like make a show. Like, you send them an app and you're like, an application. Like I'm gonna do this show. It's with these people. I have these people signed on. It's gonna be really cool. And they're like, yeah, looks good. Here's some money. Do it. And I did so every year. I put on like 4 musicals or something while I was there. I put on like this whole thing that I was doing with classical music. I was trying to make, how can I make classical music into something that people, just random ass people fuck with? And I was putting on these experimental like Cirque du Soleil type shows to try to do that. Where it's like, yeah, I'm going to go see a cello player, but the lighting and the beats and the fucking dancing around it is going to it's going to blow my mind. And it'll make me appreciate that cello shit even harder. And I was trying to make that type of stuff. And that's what I did.
Fucking love that.
What drove you to do that?
Because I got there, and this is a crazy story too, and actually ties it all back. Because I got there, and I thought classical music is something that is like about sophistication and like people that have cultural, taste and that are intellectual about, whatever, are going to be really into this. And like Yale, that's the place where everyone thinks that that's what it is, right? That's what they all treat it as, right? And I got there and like no one listened to classical music. There was a few of us that were like, people were in the orchestra and shit like that.
Sure.
But almost everybody was like, just, they listen to indie rock and, and I was just like, and I put on some classical shows of my stuff and like brought my friends that weren't classical musicians to them. And they were just like, they were like supporting me as a friend, but no one really connected with it. Cause like, and that was the moment of just like, I think something I didn't really understand that was like, it's not like a cultural thing. It's just like classical music is just like a very narrow band of like people that have bought into something really hard that's kind of like outdated and kind of in its own world. And like, even if you're someone that like really likes cool, interesting shit, that's still not enough, apparently, when I'm there to be into this shit. And that was when I started being like, well, I really need to make some stuff that like, I want to show
appreciation.
I want people to like be able to enjoy this stuff because I think that like it must be something that people can enjoy because like Beethoven, like 35,000 people or something like that went to his funeral. Like his shit really impacted people, and that's why with his Beethoven shit, which again I guess we'll talk about later, but like that. Like Beethoven was like Kanye at the time. It was just like, who is this guy that is making this shit that everyone is talking about? Like as evidenced by that, and so. I don't think there's anything fundamental about classical music that makes it impossible for people to connect with it, but I think there's a lot of things contextually about it that make it
absolutely just culturally
unrelatable and like and I think
it feels antiquated. Just this thing I can't
it's like
connect
deliberately
with.
like emotionless and shit like the way it's
I feel like I'd see Johnny Appleseed somewhere.
Where's the beat? Where's the beat?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things, but I think that it could work, and I think Cirque du Soleil is an example of like. That was referenced to
Johnny Appleseed, like for real.
I like that. I thought you were referencing Wendy's though, right? Where's the beef? But you were saying, or is that not how that was intended?
No, but we'll take it there.
He said, "Where's the beef?"
I'll pretend like it was.
Where's the beef? I thought you were like, "Where's the
Where's
beef?"
The beef?
So, I think classical music in its heyday was like. What is this fucking trip we are on right now? Like I don't get to hear music at all because there's no recorded music. Right? I hear a violin player in the pub sometimes, but if I am lucky enough to see the goddamn symphony, it's going to be literally the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no steam engines or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Literally, it's like trip. It's like a sensory fucking overload.
That's true.
They don't need lights and shit. It's just like
for real.
It's 80 people on stage just like sawing away at this fucking Beethoven symphony.
For real.
Nuts. It was like Cirque du Soleil. I believe that so strongly. Like,
it's insane the time warp that like you nestled into though, because like. You can attribute that to like the growth in now, but like it's wild of how like in such a, I guess older, like in such a classical form of music, pun intended, that you like found such a fucking playground and excitement from, because from all of these things, it's like, like a classical show back then was like a fucking Travis Scott concert of today.
I think it was. And so I got interested in this idea of like, can I find a way? Like I think, like those people were still people.
Yeah,
it wasn't like pre-evolution. It's not like our brains have changed. It's the same fucking people. We're just like we're just like a little more acclimatized to like better shit that's like more exciting or whatever.
Absolutely,
or at least just better at pushing our like buttons and shit. You know what I mean? So so I was just trying to think, well, what could I do? And there was a few models of just like the biggest problem was like. There's no words, and there's almost no entertainment that anyone goes to that doesn't have words in it.
Factual.
So I was trying to relate to this, and I was just thinking like, well, okay, so Cirque du Soleil, no words. That's the biggest one. But also shit like Blue Man Group and Stomp, kind of 90s stuff.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
like, I'm gonna
Yep.
go watch Stomp is insane. Like it's like cheesy as fuck now because it's so 90s, but it's like if you go watch that show, it is an hour and 45 minutes of people banging on shit. No one ever says a word. There's no story. There's not even a fucking melody. It's just banging on shit for an hour and 45 minutes and is riveting.
I feel you.
And they find all these ways to like make these jokes like, oh, this guy hits this thing quiet, then that guy hits it loud, and everyone's like, what the fuck is that guy doing? And you laugh, and everyone in the theater's just like, you know? And that's the same shit as like if you take it back to like Haydn. Haydn did that shit. It was like the string quartet goes blip, 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 bonk, you know, and everyone hits it loud, and everyone's just like, what?
I
And then there's a
feel
pause,
you,
and it's like it's the
though.
exact same shit. It's music, just like jokes about like music, and it's in pop music now. I don't know. So I just thought it was all there, and I just had to find a way to make it like the full visual kind of like thing that people could just be like, okay, I'm into this, and I'm connecting with this stuff, and I get what's going on. And it doesn't need to be like a concrete plot, but there's an experience like Cirque du Soleil where it's like, I'm in for this fucking trip. And so I was just doing shows like that. I was different experiments of like, oh, let's throw some dancers in here. Let's have them like, I did, you know, this group Pentatonics. It's like a
Yeah.
Of course.
right. So the beatboxer from that is this dude Kevin that I'm homies with. So he was at Yale with me. So he was a great beatboxer even then. So and he played cello and shit. So I had this one where it was like, let's set this up so it's like a scene where like this guy, my friend Steven, is playing sax on the street, and we set the stage so he's like this busker on the street, right? Just like, and people are throwing coins into shit, and this dude walks by, and it's Kevin from Pentatonics, and he's just sort of like, oh, this guy sucks, and he kind of smirks at him for a while, and then the sax dude tries to impress him. He does like this little lick, and the beatboxer dude gets into it. We don't know he's a beatboxer yet, right? And then the music starts to pick up, and he's just like, he gets into it enough that he starts beatboxing, and the whole audience is like, "Oh shit!" Like I didn't even know that was going to happen, you know. And he just built this whole, but it built with the music because the music builds and the tempo picks up. So the beatboxing was like a musical thing that happened,
I fucking love that.
and we painted to the audience what was happening musically, dramatically. I mean, that's the type of shit I want to do, and I think that whatever. So I did shows like that all through Yale, and this is another big part in addition to the Kanye shit. Like I did a big ass show called Abyss that was like the height of that. In this building that's now a Mario Batali restaurant in New Haven. My last year.
Mario.
Shout out to Mario.
Shout out to Mario.
Mario.
It's an alright restaurant. It's a little
And
cramped
his
for
fucking
a restaurant.
Crocs. Shout out to
Yeah.
Mario.
Truly. And so we did this show there my last year in grad school, and we invited some of the producers of Blue Man Group and some of these other shows, and they came by and they were like, look, this is great, like, you know, keep developing it, but like we don't even know if you could do Blue Man Group now, because when they did Blue Man Group, it was like downtown New York. Like we'll do a show super cheap because it's downtown New York in the 80s. Now downtown New York is like, you know, like the way the whole live theater thing shit works
For
in New York. It's
sure.
just like now, like the only way to do it is to have millions of dollars and a celebrity in the thing.
Unreal.
And that combined with this Kanye shit, I started being like all this shit I want to do. There's no way to do it without a platform. And that's when it started being like, oh, I'm gonna go be a pop star and I'll do that. And if Kanye starts putting on shit like this, aka me in 10 years or whatever, then people, you know, if Kanye wrote an opera tomorrow, we'd all be like, oh shit, like
For real.
I guess we have to talk about opera now, at least
For real.
you know, and if it was good. So this is me. I want to do that theater shit. I want to do the musicals. I want to do the classical shit, and I want it to all be like, whoa, Johan did that. Oh, I'm gonna check that shit out. You know.
I fucking
so-
love that.
So that's what this
so
is all about for
interesting.
me, and it's like, and I love
I
the music.
love
right now.
that.
I love the pop music, but it's like I want the whole fucking thing.
It's
I fucking love
it's
that.
a vessel to do.
It's everything. And I think Kanye kind of knew that too. Like now he's just like, well, let me try some fashion shit. And he's
Yeah.
really trying to push through in that, you know? And you see the frustration because nothing is easy, but we all know that at least people will like be like, okay, Kanye put out a fashion line. Let's check it, you know?
Yeah, it seems
For
like
sure.
you have this. I kind of want to just dive into your passion for wanting the world to appreciate classical music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
It's weird. I don't know what it's about.
I fucking love it.
No, I
though.
love it.
It's mostly just like that's been my life. And I just like, I almost just want to, I care about it too much at this point to not.
Yeah.
And I think that's just,
But it's also
so
but no, but it's
beautiful.
also beautiful to see
beautiful.
like the defiance not be why don't y'all understand this, but
Yeah.
it's more so of just wait until I make you
well, and I'll
understand.
even like, if we want to put it on Defiance, I put it the other direction. It's like, why are all these people who are so good at music like putting no effort into trying to reach people, which is the whole fucking point of music.
Respect.
And that's the shit that drives me nuts. And when I go back into the classical world now,
the hands just
that I'm in this. That I'm in this
Joe
world,
and I are just octopus hands
and
out
like
of
being in
nowhere
pop
for no
music has
reason.
made me appreciate that even more. Just like, oh, how much time do even just like a songwriter in pop music spend trying to think about like what is really going to move that kid in Arkansas or whatever the fuck, you know?
I feel you.
No disrespect to Arkansas,
Not at all.
you know.
Shout
And
out
it's
to
just like,
Arkansas.
I feel like we need to do that more, and I think that there is a version of classical music like. I don't think classical music is going to exist where pop music does. It's not about like, let me get a song into my head and like listen while I drive to work.
Yeah.
Classical music is going to be the way Cirque du Soleil is. It's like, let me have a fucking transcendent experience this month.
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
I'll go to this thing once. That's where it's going to live. And I think it's just 100 years like of progress that's got to like leapfrog through. And
I fucking
What's
love
funny because
that.
like I'm actually
I fucking
now
love that.
like
gonna
just,
happen,
just
man.
by you describing this, I'm actually like attracted to classical music just from this conversation.
I know, and yet-
and from what you said,
And yet,
and just-
go to
exactly.
the concert, man. It's
And-
boring as fuck. I cannot.
just-
I think it's boring.
But just by the way you described like how it must have been back then, where like this is the loudest thing they'll ever hear.
It was a
and
trip.
sensory overload to the maximum.
It was like Cirque du Soleil. It was just like I am seeing something special right now, and that's what I think it could be. I think it can be that. I think it is that even now. Like for a minute, like
it really
you think
is
it-
though,
you
bro.
think-
Like even when
Yeah.
like bro, like
it's just hard to sustain for like an hour or two. It's just hard. Like you need something. It's just our brains are not wired for that shit anymore.
I feel
You
you.
need something to grasp onto and something.
But
to
I feel
follow.
like even for us, like just like let's say even casual listener or somebody that doesn't connect with classical like that, if they're literally like in front of the LA Philharmonic or some like shit of that nature, you're looking at that wowed still. You're just like, holy fuck.
I think that's universal, but I think that it lasts for like the first 15 minutes,
For sure.
and then it's like they're there and they're like, yeah, this is cool, right? You know, like.
I feel
Just like,
yeah.
it's hard. And I think it's hard. Like I'm in this shit, and I'm telling you, it's hard to like, you know.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Like if an orchestra came and played Beethoven for 5 minutes, I think we'd all be like, "Fuck, that's awesome."
Yeah.
But I think it can go deeper than that. That's because that's the novelty. It's just like, oh, that was crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that guy doing back handsprings on the sidewalk in front of the, you know? It's like it's cool. Well, that was crazy. All right, see you later. You know.
And that's it,
I
yeah.
think it could be deeper than that. I think it could be, just more sustained and. I think it's just like I don't know. To me, it's a missed opportunity. I think that's what a lot of like when you see like entrepreneurs like fucking Elon Musk or something. It's just like, well, we have good lithium batteries. We could probably improve them.
Yeah.
We have this massive need to get over fossil fuels. Like, why is no one connecting those two into something that can
Right.
For real.
It's not about the success of the product itself. It's just about like this is just an opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
this is an incredibly transcendent experience that's just like a little outmoded, a little outdated.
But it also shows you like how
It'd be so fun to fix it.
arduous it is though to like get into the human psyche, like consumer behavior and like just like the mental aspect of it. You have to have people opt in.
It's
Something-
hard, yeah,
something
yeah.
that seems
and I think
like-
that's a big thing too. Is like in the classical world, I think there's a big attitude of like, well, we're incredible and we're legit.
Super elitist.
They must be stupid,
Yeah.
because they're not getting it.
Yeah.
and that to me is just like, how could you possibly feel that way? The whole point is to get people want to listen to,
I
or
feel
want to
you.
watch or whatever. You know what I mean? So that attitude drives me fucking nuts. But I think what you're saying is right. It's just like it's about how do I find what will be just so compelling that it's irresistible for people. And I think that there's like a whole lane of just like experiential shit that like could be tapped into with this type of music.
With that being your mindset, right? Or like with that being something that like you carry within you, how'd you start attacking that after you left grad school? Like what was the plan?
The plan was go be a pop star.
Word.
Really? So that idea hit you
Literally
when
just
you were
like,
in
bang.
grad
It
school?
was 2 years of listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Oh, wow.
Looking at how like backwards the attitude of a lot of the people in grad school was, and just looking at what that path looked like for the rest of my life. And like getting into pop
What was
music.
your experience in
And
grad
then
school?
that
I wanna
moment
know
of
also.
like inviting these people to this show, like the culmination of all of what I've been doing. It wasn't perfect, like but it was definitely like this is what it could be.
Did you find the confines to be too strict, or did you find it like?
So they're very
you
different.
seem like
So-
somebody
yeah.
that wants to like blow past all types of.
It was interesting. Undergrad was incredible because it was just like tons of curiosity and excitement and fun. It was just college also. Just like fucking like living in a house with a bunch of dudes and having parties like 3 nights a week, you know. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Grad school, it wasn't that way. It was just like all these people that have spent their entire life playing the viola or whatever.
Trying to validate the shit.
Yeah, just trying to, yeah, exactly. Like trying to jump through hoops and like live in this world that's so narrow where like you're you know, if you're lucky, you'll be, no, if you're like incredible, like mind-blowingly good, you'll be top 10 flute players in the world, and literally no one will have ever heard of you.
Yeah.
No one. So that shit sucks. And that's not to say that fame is the main thing, but also just like fucking reach or something. Just like what are you doing? Like who cares? Like the only people that care are like other flute players that are like, oh, he's good. I wish I was that good, you know? Or above you who are like, I'm very good at flute. I know that he's good. It's just like, fuck that shit. Who cares, you know? It's just like, why do you want the validation of like
and just the
5 other elitist people in your field? That's useless to me. The whole point was to reach an audience.
Yeah, the amount of impact you can have. There's a definite
to move
ceiling
people
to that. Yeah.
instead of just like proving to them that you made it, you know?
Yeah.
That shit sucked. And it's still, I think that's the most backwards thing about it. It's not just music. It's like, you know,
it's wild because I love how your pursuit took you there, but it also makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a trip when you start thinking back about like those choices. Like you going into composition, of course a composer wants the experience to be the most profound.
And I think they all do, but I mean, I don't know anyone else that's on this mission that I'm on. I know people that are in classical that are sort of on it, that are sort of like, well, we need to fix things. But like not to the, like, what I didn't anticipate was that being in the pop and hip hop world would completely change what I thought even like reaching people meant. Like I just,
elaborate.
I think that was this classical thing of like, well, what the masses want is this. So if we just throw a bunch of lights at them or whatever, they'll like it, you know? And just it's sort of like diminishing the intelligence of the audience, you know.
Respect,
like
yeah.
And, you know, even though
Facts.
you think you're being like pushing against that shit, you're still saying like, oh, they're all stupid. We
got you right.
Shit.
We got you right.
Yeah, it's so condescending, and there is a lot of that now.
For
it's like,
sure.
It's like, well, go see this orchestra play Tchaikovsky and you know Drake, and we'll put some lights on, and like you'll love it. And it's just like, well, why though? Why Tchaikovsky and Drake? I don't get it. You know what I mean? And I think what I've tried to do is just like really respect that like people that like music, like they really care about it and they really know what the fuck they're talking about.
Totally.
And like not just music, just anything. Like if you're invested in like art of any kind, like
if you're invested in anything,
like you're a fucking thinking human being. Like, respect that shit.
Yeah.
And like find them where they
thoughts
are.
and feelings and
like,
opinions and ideas.
And I think classical like isn't in that world right now, and a lot of things are not. And like being in that world where I'm now thinking about what people connect to, and really in like a life or death kind of way. Like let's make this song bang, or else no one's gonna care.
Wow.
You know? And sometimes it's like it can get a little too far that way. Like let's just make this shit be a hit and make tons of money, but whatever. But it's like you're always thinking about the audience. And I think that's like if you're trying to communicate through art, that's the only way to do it. And I think I've just like started to appreciate like which things are compelling about classical music, and just like you know, just by living in the world of like, so this Beethoven shit, I should talk about this now.
Yeah.
So Beethoven is this concert I did that was Kanye West, Beethoven.
No, when did this come? Like, what
made you want to fuse Beethoven with Yeezy?
So this is my homie Yuga, so he and I went to classical nerd camp in high school.
What up, Yuga?
Yep. And we stayed in touch kind of, but we weren't that close or whatever. We didn't know each other that well. And then like years, but I was posting on Facebook. This is some of the things like I'm actually a big Facebook fan. And like Twitter and shit. Like I think these things are really good.
Yeah.
Like you hear about stuff, you stay in touch with people about things you would not have expected.
Totally.
You know, and so I'm posting about Kanye for whatever reason because
you're hyped on it
because Kanye's lit.
Yeah.
And Yuga hits me up in like about 2 years ago and just being like, "Yo, I have this orchestra now because I went to conductor school. I studied with the conductor of the New York Philharmonic. I'm a fucking legend now." And I have this orchestra in LA that they gave me 3 seasons to just conduct and do what I want with them. It's young. They're like 18 to 26. It's called the Young Musicians Foundation. And he was like, they said for the last concert of every season, I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And I want to do something with Kanye. That's all I know. And I know you like Kanye and you're a composer and you know music and shit and you could do this. Like, why don't we do something?
And at this time, are you in the first like steps of becoming a...
I'm in pop music. Yeah, I'm in
So
LA.
you're in LA.
Yeah, this is like a year or two into it. Yeah.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah. And he knew that I was working with people that work with Kanye. You know, I'm just like in that world more, you know?
Yeah.
So he hits me up and I'm just like, sure, let's do it. And he like takes me out to drinks in the Upper East Side of New York or some shit. Or, I don't know, one of those places.
Yeah.
And then we just spent a few months trying to work out, well, like, what would we do that makes sense? Like, why are we, these two classical guys, attracted to this music so much that isn't like anything, you know, classical, at least in the culture? And that was the whole problem, was just trying to let's work out like, oh, well, it turns out like there's big things happening on the form. And this is really about Yeezus around this time, you know, like things that you'd only see in classical music. Like just giant fucking like jump cuts between different types of material. Shit that's like you don't see it in pop music or hip hop, you know? And we started to think like, well, we should put on a concert that just kind of like shows why this is more like classical music than it is like hip hop, you know? And we were like, okay, well, Beethoven was a guy who everyone was just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And a lot of his music has a lot of that radical kind of shit going on. And we put that together and we were just like, okay, so, you know, Yeezus and Beethoven, so Beethoven, you know?
Fucking lit.
And so we did it. It was a live orchestra, 70 pieces in LA. This was like a year ago, and we're doing it again now. So yeah, and they played.
You know what's really fucking wild? I remember this. Shout out to Terry O'Neill, though.
It blew up the internet, though. It was like,
yeah.
It was. I mean, it's good for clicks. What are you gonna say? Like Kanye plus Beethoven
for
plus
real.
orchestra plus
my boy Terry that I
clicks.
worked with last year. Like literally, I remember him raving about Beethoven.
Yo, well, we're about to fucking do it again, and so
We
whatever.
will be
So
there.
this is like, but we really took it seriously on like an intellectual level. Like, let's show this. Like, I'll give you an example. There's a piece called the Egmont Overture by Beethoven.
Shout out
to the Egmont
the
Overture.
Egmont Overture.
So it's about this battle. I think I don't even fucking know. It's this whole journey of like it's just tumultuous and dark and intense, and then the finale, shit just kind of stops. There's this big ass drum roll, and then it just suddenly is this like glorious, spectacular finale that's like it almost feels like out of place, like almost ironic. Like how could this possibly just come after this other shit? You know?
Yeah.
And so we're looking at this shit and we're just like, well, New Slaves. The whole song,
Yeah.
it's like manic,
Yeah.
Crazy, right? And then at the end of the song, there's this massive drum roll, and then it's just like, just comes out of fucking nowhere. It's the exact same thing, and no other. And this is why we can say this is Kanye. And like I don't even fucking know if he produced that. Like he probably like had a bunch of people work on that shit. But he was the one that's
he's
like
that producer that you spoke about.
And he was the one that like I want that in my
together.
album. I want this fucking crazy trip where like it's utter chaos and there's a drum roll and then shit is just suddenly fine. And you know, you almost are questioning it because it's so insane.
Yeah.
And that is like the same instinct. They both have that instinct of like, let's do that. It's not in any other pop music. There's nothing like that.
Yeah,
it's insane. And we found these like comparisons. So we did like 6 of them, like a classical, you know, Beethoven thing and a Kanye thing. And it was also fun, just like how do we make the Kanye thing for orchestra and have it sound like the, you know, so that was its own kind of thing too. And then we went up and we did this concert and we'd show up between the songs and just be like, so for this next one, they both have this crazy ending, and that's why, you know, so check that shit out, and everyone watches it. And you can see it was so tight because we got video of it, like all these fucking Kanye fans in the middle of like a Beethoven piece suddenly applauding because they're hearing the shit that we're talking about and shit. It's just like, oh my fucking God, like this shit actually does still work. Like it's not, you know, but people just didn't know what the fuck was going on before because like, why would you? It's 150 years old, you know?
Right.
For real.
180, whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, that was crazy.
That's fucking lit.
And to see it connect with people like that.
It was nuts.
Like after you've been putting on so many shows and you're on this like this path and this like almost this destiny that you have to bring this to connect with people, and now you're seeing it for the like really, really the first time in a pop culture kind of way.
And it was also just like we put on a concert of Kanye music for orchestra. Like if I'm at Kanye's level, that's just called putting on an orchestra concert.
For real.
I'll just put it on.
Right.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like another moment of just like, oh, people will show up to anything I want.
real.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
why it's again just like I need that fucking, you know. And another person I think of a lot is Donald Glover, who's just like well, you know me from the TV show, check my album out. You know me from the album, check the. You're just like, you just whatever it takes, get people on board, and then just throw them the most insane shit you want, and like.
I love that though, because like, you know what's beautiful about this is because that want and that need of yours is coupled by not only your work ethic but your talent and what you want to bring to the table. Like, you want that platform.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think of the difference between the wants and the needs, like just in terms of the initial thought, right? Yeah. So many musicians are like, I want the world to hear my music, but like that want is really, I need the world to hear my music in their thoughts. When I hear it from you, it's literally like, I want the world to hear this, because when they do, they'll realize that connection. Yeah, there's a difference there.
I don't even want to prove them wrong. I just want to show.
Yeah,
I just want to. Get people stoked about some cool shit. That's
for sure.
Yeah,
but like the beauty here is like that want is coupled by your like unrelenting desire to push the boundaries of it, to show the beauties of it through the master craft, if you will. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because that was the master craft. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was this thing. I don't even think I'm like a fucking genius. I don't even think it's about being good at it. I just think it's like seeing a thing that could be so much to so many people, and it's just not, because of like a few little fucking things that are missing, you know?
For sure.
And I just like, why? How can we not fix that? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so easy. It's not easy, but it's like, it's there. It's all there.
1,000,000,000%.
Just fucking make that bridge. And so, yeah, that's all I want to do.
So I want to know this, like, how has building that bridge been for you?
I mean, I'm not there yet. I really think I need that pop music platform, but the Beethoven thing was interesting because, and I guess, yeah, like that couldn't have happened without what I learned just from what I've done in pop music so far.
Gotcha.
And like indie pop, whatever, you know, like we were able to get that to blow up because I had been living in like the world of Pigeons and Planes and Complex and shit like that.
Sure.
And I had a sense of like, well, everyone knows Kanye is a genius, and what do Kanye's fans really want? Like, what do they care about Kanye, and what shit would like get them even more into, you know, that music, and what would help them see another angle of that music? Like, that's only possible. Like, that's not possible if I'm only in classical and like think Kanye is cool, you know?
Absolutely.
That's possible because I like live, like I read Pigeons and Planes. You know what I mean? It's like, I know like, oh, what is this shit about? I see what these people like tweet at, you know, just like, I get it. Like, okay, that's what's exciting about this.
You're truly looking at this like anthropologically. Almost.
I want to live in the world of like, if you're trying to reach people, live in their world.
You have to.
Don't pretend you know what they're doing, what they want.
Ask them like, what the fuck they're doing.
Intellectualize it, live in. Yeah. So it's just like, I think like I could not have done Beethoven, even though I could have like orchestrated the music and made the concert physically
It wouldn't
happen.
have been authentic.
Yeah, and it couldn't have reached those people because we couldn't have, even just like the fucking trailer video we made, like we could not have made that in a way that would have resonated with this audience had I not been living in that side of the world too. And so I think that's an example of something where already I feel this bridge, like I start to feel like, oh, okay,
which is
I can do that and I can do that. Like I can make whatever the fuck I want.
Which is so crazy because you
you
went from so like living on another planet to being so immersed in it to understand it, to even build something like this. Like see the level that like your evolution into pop culture and your understanding of it and you're immersing yourself in it has grown so much to make something like that possible.
Yeah. And it's like, crazy on how such a like a fucking narrow tunneled fucking perspective
it's wild.
Of that.
Yeah.
I still have trouble with it. It's just like, I definitely feel exactly what you said. I feel like I'm in a tunnel looking out at shit.
For real.
Can we go back to real quick because I'm curious to know what after college, and not to go like just super chronological, but
no, it's good. I want the whole.
Why?
Hell yeah.
Let's get the real shit.
Yeah. What compelled you to move to LA?
I mean, it's been interesting because initially it was like I was in New York. After I finished school, I was in New York for like almost 2 years. In Brooklyn.
Okay.
The homies.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, it wasn't that good, but it was,
I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm here in a way. But it was It was a combination of things. It's like I knew I was going to do this type of music. I still wanted to keep doing some of the stuff with theater and classical, which all is a little more centered in New York, although less so than it was. And just everyone, also like Yale is in New Haven, Connecticut, which is like, I mean, it's a bit out, but there's like a train in New York. It's like almost a suburb of New York. I was going to New York every weekend sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of like think of New York as the only option.
I feel you.
So I was there, and I was just studying up on like what have the biggest pop stars done? And it's like they all, if you look at their Wikipedias, it's always just like, and then Bruno Mars moved to L.A., and then everything happened. You know, and I like didn't really have a conception of what that meant because I didn't understand how the music industry worked at all. I didn't even know what a session was. Like I didn't know what anything was, you know. But I was just like, I'm gonna go to LA for a week, and this is like right after I moved to Brooklyn, like a month into it.
Did you know anyone in LA?
Nobody, and so it was like, it was crazy. It was a week, but I was very like aggressive about it. It was just like a week of meetings. It was just like, okay, this, like my roommate's ex-girlfriend, like, is from LA, and her friend from home, his dad is a music lawyer.
Word.
So I took a meeting with that dude. It was like a 15-minute meeting. He was just like, well, you seem cool enough, like whatever. Like introduced me to another guy who I've still never met, who introduced me to this dude, Andrew Gould at BMG, who's like hooked so much shit for me. And like, that was like the very first kind of connection. But it was like a series of meetings like that. Just like, is there anyone, you know, like in the acapella group, we were on a TV show called The Sing Off. There was like an acapella competition on NBC, judged by Ben Folds and Nicole Scherzinger and and Sean Stockman from Boyz II Men.
I remember that show.
Yes,
Wild.
hosted by Nick Lachey. So
wild,
and
beautiful.
And we had an entertainment lawyer represent us to make sure that shit was all cool when we.
Oh, you were on that show.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
so I met up with that guy. And we went to California Pizza Kitchen. I was just like, so I took a week of just
I'll
like,
take a barbecue chicken pizza, please.
yeah, he ordered some garbage ass. It was like, he was like, I really like the Asian salad pizza. I don't know about that, man. But, you know, it's just a lot
The
of
lettuce
things.
on the pizza I can never do.
California Pizza Kitchen is not what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
For
know.
real.
I
Especially
still
being
like-
from New York.
I still like that barbecue chicken pizza.
I feel you.
That might be all right. That might be
Yeah,
That's
I feel you.
a
I
classic,
think-
baby.
And they
That's a
do like
classic,
the half
baby.
soups, the little like
I
half
think
stuff
the
off Johnny.
further they get away from what is traditionally considered pizza, the better.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it's
I was a fan of
barbecue
their
chicken
mushroom,
experience,
their mushroom ravioli, but like
I'm sure it's all right. I think it's an all right place.
Yeah, it's a dish. It's a
the
dish.
lunch was not culinarily.
I fucking feel you.
But whatever. So it's just like a week of just like, oh my God, I'm hustling my ass off. Like I'm in LA, I'm gonna meet some people. And like the one that came out of that basically was Andrew at BMG. And so he started putting me in sessions. The first session I ever had was with this dude, Nick, at Twice as Nice, who's like helped produce Rihanna records, did a whole bunch of artists. Like,
Wild.
he's like, you know, DJ Mustard's A&R now, you know, for a bit. And like, I think something like that. I don't know. He's a hustler.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And it was just like, you know, so that got me into the scene. And so I did a couple trips out here, and it quickly just became apparent. And this is like a whole other thing, but New York is not the wave right now. And
No.
I don't like to say that.
No,
because it's just
no,
like,
but it's not.
it's not. And it, you know, and like if I wanted to strictly do Broadway shit, it would be. Even in classical, it's not really. Like in terms of like the weird experimental classical shit, that's kind of happening out here as much as New York. And New York is so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to do music shit, like the hub is out here right
And
now.
it's so establishment, yeah, and everyone's moving here. So I went to Brooklyn with 3 other dudes from Yale. One is an actor, one is a director, one is like a producer, and also like an A&R. And he's dope, and they're all dope. And a few weeks ago, there was like a 4-week. So basically, we've all moved here.
Yeah.
One of them is not quite, but for the last 4 weeks, all 4 of us have been in here. We all moved to Brooklyn because it was like, let's do New York. And every single one of us, for different reasons, has been like, nope.
Let's go to LA.
And so if that doesn't tell you what's up, I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
and my friend, a good friend of mine, who's a classical composer, was in New York for a trip, and just like, he kept calling me, dude, this shit is terrible. And again, like I don't want to shit on New York, but it's just like it's like there's a lot
For
of
the
things that don't
purpose.
work with it right
Yeah,
now.
for the purpose.
And it's become too rich and too establishment. It's just like, I mean, the subway doesn't work. It's just like nothing. You know, if you don't have buckets of money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just doesn't work right now. And so we're all out here, and so that's why I'm in LA. I mean, I don't think that I don't think of myself as an LA person. I've never gone surfing. I've been to the beach once in the 2 years I've been here. Like, I'm not doing the LA thing. I'm just trying to make what I'm trying to do happen.
Which is that's actually more the LA thing.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's almost like, like how many people do I even know?
It's literally been like,
they're all from the East Coast.
yeah.
And honestly, like being from LA, what makes LA is that it's a city of transplants.
It's a city, yeah.
Like it's not a city of people from
It's
LA.
a city where you come to do shit. And,
Yeah.
and it's, which is kind of interesting also, like when I was in DC, that's how DC is too. DC's not cool at all. It's a different thing. But DC is like people that want to have an impact in the country and politics and stuff like that. And they come to DC to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
And eventually they leave, actually,
Yeah.
usually.
For sure.
And that's how it is. And I don't know if I'll be in LA forever. I mean, like, ultimately, like, Boston is home for me. Boston is home for me. And I think I'll be back in New York if I'm going to do this theater stuff. I'm going to develop this classical, immersive experience. Like, that'll probably be in New York, at least initially. And I've got projects happening in New York, and I'm going to go backward.
I mean, you're just going to have to be a global baby, bro.
I want to do that. I love being bicoastal LA and New York for a while. Like, I did it for 6 months, and it was cool. But for now,
How has the
Everything
pursuit?
is
How
LA.
has the pursuit been for you since you've been out in LA?
it's hard, man. It's good. I mean, I'd say there's one awesome week and then 4 that suck. And they don't suck, but it's just like what?
Can you like dive into that? Just like I guess like
Okay, so I did
You're
my
so in it right now.
I
Yeah.
did my first show as Johan in LA through a group called Ones to Watch, which is like a Live Nation developing artist kind of thing. It was dope. I did it at a place called Mama Line. It was 3 weeks ago. That same week, I spent 3 days in the studio with no ID and Alessia Cara,
Unreal.
like, and no one else.
wow.
And no ID was like dipping out for like periods, and I was just like me and Alessia Cara writing songs, you know?
Fucking lit.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's great.
Yeah.
And he's a legend. But he's also just like a guy. He's just a guy who's like, he's incredible.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
so that was a good week.
Off top.
And then there's other weeks where it's just like, oh, like the song went out, you know, it didn't really do anything.
Well, and that's the reality check of like, and I love that there's that dichotomy because that's just actually very real. That's exactly how this formula works.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, people think you come out here and all of a sudden you have sessions with very big established people and you think your career is about to take off and everything's going to be great. And then it's like, well, you also with that have just
Life.
I think I had a few months of like, I'm set, you know? Like, I've met these people. And I'm set. And now I think I have a pretty realistic sense of it, but it's like, you do talk. And that's the one reason why, not to shout out your own podcast, but what I love about this is that, like,
Shit,
It's
shout
just-
the fucking podcast out. You know?
Mama, we fucking
Let's
made it.
go. You know what I'm saying? Shout out
But
to
like,
Mama, we
but
made
I
it.
think it really is true. It's like, there's no stories. Like, I listen to fucking, I forget, there's like a music podcast that it's this songwriter dude, he interviews artists. You must know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
I don't know. And he did Charlie Puth for an hour.
Okay.
And it's just like, there's so many false starts in that dude's careir.
oh yeah,
We're the biggest star in the world, or one of them, you know,
Yeah.
like in pop music. It certainly has the biggest song in the past 5 years, you know. And it's just like, it wasn't even like that interesting. I was just like, oh yeah, of course. Like, that's what happens.
I mean, look,
if you're a
like-
big star, you've been through like years
Yeah.
of fucking failure that you persist through.
Absolutely.
Like,
But-
I'm used to it, but it does suck though.
But even big star or not, bro, like, look, at the end of the day, it comes down to we're human beings, right?
Yeah.
And big star is a bunch of functions happening.
Yeah.
Like, big star is what happens on the road, like, career-wise. But then,
Yeah.
like, you start to understand, like, when people think about, like, balance in life and all that shit, like, and they drum out this, like, you are not your career, or you are not. For a musician and for in entertainment, it's very different. But at the same time, they're also battling the fact that you are a human being, right? And where we miss a lot of this, and where I feel like there's like the genius in just like this forum that we're able to have, and like being able to just communicate with cats like yourself, right? Is you're touching beneath the surface that it's not like, how is this going to advance my career?
Right.
Like this like little like platform here is literally like, who am I type shit.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see who everybody is because we're so similar. It's insane how at the core, all of us human beings,
Oh, yeah.
whatever the fuck pursuit
Definitely.
we're on, are so fucking similar. but we all talk about the benchmarks from like fucking like biblical, like literally like hitter points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some
like
of it, it's like, yeah, I think
like
it
fuck,
makes sense.
like
but it's
fuck made it. Like shout out to Mama, we made it, but like made it is not an end.
Nope.
Like,
No, yeah, there's
like
no
you
way,
think,
no
like
question.
bro, like you think of a fucking like in any career, whether it's like entertainment, athletes, whatever. Like, okay, cool, you got to the league. Are you going to be a superstar player? Are you going to be on the bench? Or are you going to be somebody that's in the league? Or do you want more? So you made it to your upper echelon goal, like NBA. But like once you make it there, you keep going.
Yep.
Then now you're going to want to be a fucking franchise player. You're an artist. You taste some fucking you taste some of success. Maybe you're popping in the UK, but now you want the US market. Then you want Australia, and you want Asian. You want the world to hear your shit. Yeah. You're going to be like, okay, what do I need to do internally to sacrifice my shit or not? Like these demons and these devils that we speak of, these are regular decisions that need to be made by people that want to impact bigger cultures and bigger things. And you've made it a lot of times along the way. Yeah. Like made it is not an end.
100%.
Like we're making it every day. Like today is a day that we've made something. Tomorrow will be literally accumulation of every single fucking day we've had since then. Right?
Literally making it.
And
like
we're making it.
Building it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, bro, because it's like culturally, like I'm so inspired by your pursuit. That's a fucking gorgeous thing, right? It's insane how we all have our compartments of understanding and fucking appreciation, all these things. But like the fact that we're able to sit down, have Raushi be somebody that was so enamored by her music and came in and he had me hyped, right? And like, look, Raushi and my music tastes like intertwine, like, you know what I'm saying, every now and then. But when my brother comes, and it's just human shit, like when somebody's friend comes in hyped about something, you're hyped.
Of course.
Heard the record, and I was like, holy fuck, right? And then it just became a him like being like, yo, should we get him on? I was like, let's chop it with him. And like literally, y'all were chopping, and we have you on this podcast, right?
Crazy, yeah.
And this podcast is literally just like your story. It's going to change in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? You're literally making masterpieces in the fucking moment, and we cool with that. Because when we, like, the story is going to grow. That's the thing. Like, I feel like too many people view, like, making it or something as, like, an end. Like, your story is going to always go.
Yeah.
Your history is going to stop when you're not breathing anymore. Like, are people thinking like that?
Crazy.
No.
Hell
People
no.
think about these like fucking resume benchmarks on like in this path, you don't have one anymore. Right. You're not working at CAA with the gold standard of I've been fucking like, you know what I'm saying, abused and used by Harvey Weinstein types. You know what I'm saying?
That shit's rough.
Super rough. But like it's a pursuit, and the beauty is the pursuit.
Yes.
That's the fucking Triller shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To have these like be in these scenarios where at the end of the day, bro, like if your craft was not up to par, you wouldn't be in these rooms, or you wouldn't even be comfortable talking about your experiences.
You get there, you build it, and you get there.
Yeah,
or you get somewhere.
For sure.
I love hearing. My favorite thing about like No ID is like No ID talking about Rick Rubin.
What was that like?
Because it's just like that's his idol, you know, or one of his, and he's just like. He goes into the room with Rick Rubin. He's like, "Oh, it's just a guy," you know.
For real.
And he's just like, I love hearing it, you know.
For real,
it goes
real.
all the way up. It's like I always have this idea of just like meeting Obama or something, you know. Like Obama's a guy.
Yes.
He's just a guy. He's a guy that like really, really wanted to do some shit. Really wanted to do some shit.
For real. And he had a squad.
Yeah.
Like there are cats from Barry O's camp that come up to him like, "What's up, baby? You good?"
100%. That's that guy that he always plays basketball with. That's his boyfriend. Yeah.
We're all human beings. That's the
Obama
beauty
fan.
of it. Yeah.
I love it, man.
That's the dude.
What are you excited about right now?
What am I excited about?
Like in your world, like in the accumulation of like, you know, what you got going on, what you've experienced while you're out here. And if there's any like
on my shit.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Beethoven too. That'll be cool. I'm excited about my shit. Just like
I want to dive into your shit a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we've touched on. I feel like we've touched on the foundational.
I've told the whole. I think I'm so good at selling the story around
Yeah.
it because I care about that shit so much.
Off top.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
Still, it's like the thing at the center of it. I'm still working out. It's just like this. It's so hard because it's like
But
the
that's
whole
beautiful.
thing. I know it is, and yeah, but it's all like it all depends on it.
Yeah.
It's like I have to.
Well,
know this shit.
hey, this electron is diving into the nucleus. Like, fuck the bullshit.
what's
Like,
up,
let's
man.
rock.
That's some fucking chemistry.
Off
right there.
top, bro. I just did a
Like,
backflip off
kinda
that.
sketchy
Yeah.
chemistry, but yes.
Yeah. Just kind of
like
what it do, though.
I like it. This electron is.
You feel me? You like that, though.
I like it.
But, like,
I don't remember any of that shit. I hated chemistry.
I hated chemistry,
That shit was
too.
rough.
I'm not a science guy.
I liked school. Like, I
Math
really
is
did.
extremely easy
Chemistry.
for me. I'm not a science guy.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
Yeah. But I do believe climate change is real.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You know what
You don't
I'm
have to
saying?
understand shit to.
Yeah. You just-
Understand that it's 100 degrees on October 24th.
yeah, bro.
Odd. It's a little
For real.
out of character.
No, but like,
Sure.
you go through the throes. You like, and you also know that you have something, because like to be able to want to give it, like you have to like believe that you have something to be able to give.
I think so.
And like,
I think when it comes, I believe my experience. Like I believe that suburban mischief,
fuck yeah,
shenanigans. I believe that
Yeah.
is universal. Like I think that's the one thing I've really been like. It took me a while to find it, but it was just like that shit. Like we all know something like that.
appreciating home type shit.
I mean, Vic related to it, and Vic, that's not where he's from, you know. And he's still like that was he had a version of it that made 100% consistency on that record, you know. So I think
How'd
that
that
was the
even
moment where just like, yeah. So I did, so Beethoven won.
yeah,
I mean, it's like L.A., right? But it's like I invited somebody that knew. So Mr. Hudson is a good friend of mine. You know, Mr. Hudson, Forever Young.
I love Mr.
Paranoid.
Hudson. That's a homie, actually.
Good friend. That's a homie. That's a homie for real.
Yeah,
That's
for
what I
real,
put
for real.
there. He's a legend.
He's incredible.
I love it because
I met Mr.
he's
Hudson
not a
last
pop
year at
star,
Complex
but everyone
Con.
knows he's a legend.
Yeah,
Yo, Complex Con.
yeah.
Yo,
You
I
were there
played
too.
Complex Con. He was
So,
there because he was there because we did a song together. I was like, yo,
fuck
come to
up.
Complex Con with me and do a song with me.
Bro, that's where me and him connected. Like, I literally just walked up to him. No, understand this.
Literally, he wouldn't have been there had I not been like, yo, come do this song.
Literally, no. So, I'll tell you how this went down.
I love the battle of the literally right now.
Literally.
we're already all caps.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many L's and Y's we have here.
Yeah. No L's on this side of the table.
I respect it. The Y's are on this side. Like, as to why do you have that many L's on that side? You know what I'm saying? What it do? No, but it's crazy when you think about that because I super fanned out and literally I was
He's a legend.
My literally have just become like ums at this point. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Rocket.
Super legend.
He's a legend.
And I just went up to him and I just fanned out. I was like, look, like, love what you do. But I was just open with it. I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to be shy about this shit.
Yeah.
And we just started talking. And then he loved the Poggy shit. I set him up with the Poggy shit.
Amazing.
And then we just started chopping. Yeah. Yeah, it's how fucking, like, twice.
I'm saving the Mr. Hudson feature for later. I want it to be on a major. One day I'll be like, yo, get on this record.
Bro,
That's
he's-
how I was just like, we did a
He's
show
one of my
together.
favorite artists, bro.
We went to
He's
Lil Don's
fucking
and had some
incredible.
bacon and then drove down.
Oof.
It was incredible.
We've missed each other twice now.
That
But
big-
it's crazy.
know, that's
But
true,
it's crazy
yeah.
how interconnected
That
it's
is
been.
crazy.
Yeah, it's lit. Fab and Mr. Hudson.
I know. That is crazy.
What up, Fab?
Hudson is the Ben McEldoey. His real name. That's my dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Hudson came. He brought a friend of his. So he did the Duran Duran record because he's a legend. He does shit like that.
Legend.
And I think the bass player is John Taylor or something like that, and his daughter's a homie of Hudson and mine. Cool. She brought a friend that was friend with a dude named David Appleton.
Word.
Yeah.
David Appleton, who you know very well.
Yeah, new
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah,
Coach from
wow.
Scooter Braun,
Yeah.
who I've now met a few times. Wonderful dude.
Yeah.
Might be president one day.
Might be.
And David.
He'll follow a Mark.
And David and I
Cuban
stay in
tracks.
touch on like, yo, let's do some strings for something. And we were going to do something else, and it fell through. And then he hit me up and just like, yo, can you do Vic Mensa strings this week? This is like a year ago. And so I came and did some strings for Vic Mensa.
Oh wow.
And then Vic and I connected, and we worked some more. I played some piano for him a bunch. I played piano on the record. Did some more strings for him. did the strings for his record release party and played piano, where Jay-Z introduced him. Beyonce was like 10 feet in front of me watching me play piano.
Fucking wild.
Smiled at me. It was like,
Yo.
it was crazy.
Moments like that, bro.
That's where I met Dion, No ID, and anyway, somewhere in there, I did all the strings for his album, and the Trey, I think they were like over budget or something. The Trey was like, "We'll do a feature." So, but he loved the music, and you can tell. He didn't just like show up for
bro.
the
he
fucking
bodied that record.
Yeah, he really. It was like a minute of Victor.
Yeah,
which is good actually, because he does long verses on all his shit.
He
too.
does.
So
He
it's
does.
Like, yeah, if you want to get a feature, that's a good guy to get.
It's just-
He
it's
will
so-
not skimp. You know what I mean?
It's like
legend.
it was crazy because you have a version of that without him on it, right?
Yeah.
That was released first, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and then but the one I heard first had Vic on it, but it's just so crazy that that's the story that led up to that, because
That's
the record is already like great. Like you already had me at the record, and then Vic came on. And it was just like, what is this?
That's how features should be.
But
Yes.
but it didn't
It's
even
like-
make
it's a totally
it wasn't
different
that
audience.
it wasn't that Vic sold the record. It was that
yeah.
it actually confused me and made me go like, wait.
What am
What
I
is
listening
this?
to? Yeah.
Like I fuck
real.
with this, and then like, wait, what am I listening to?
I feel you.
Like, how is this even connected? Like, and who is this kid? Like, what?
Yeah, it was fun, man. And he did really, like, I was in the room with him watching him just like deliver it, and then I reproduced the entire thing under his vocal.
Awesome.
To be like, just like how can I really make this? And I played with him on the first verse originally. Like you remember Umbrella? It's Jay-Z and then the song starts.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I was
Right. Right.
thinking, well, let's get Vic to introduce the song. And then I was like, that doesn't feel right. And I put him back on the second verse. But it's, what it is now is it's like the verse for me builds to the pre, builds to the chorus,
Yeah.
And then-
builds to Vic, which has more drums, builds to the second pre. Just like this endless fucking. And his energy also, like his.
Yeah.
He does sort of a verse in a pre.
I be lurking.
Yeah, it's slow. It's like ba 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 da.
Yeah.
Ba ba, and then it's like da ba da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it's like so his shit built, and it's like I love that pacing.
Yeah.
And that's like a producer's dream, is to just like
and it's incredible
usher in
that-
this whole
yeah.
fucking journey for the first 2 minutes of the record. It never lets up, and then
And the fact that you had that producer's mindset, though,
And
like to
it was
dabble
tight.
within those things.
it was tight.
And also crazy that like your foundation actually is what got you kind of to work within this world. It's not like you had to.
Yeah.
It's not,
Weird.
Yeah, it's like composing and arranging strings for Vic, but even before that, like as you're creating pop music and using kind of like all your tools of what you have to fit into this world that you're not even really comfortable with or come from. You actually don't even come from this fucking culture. For
real. For real.
Not
Like,
at all.
but to fit in so well and to fit really in using that strength of yours is a very unique way of kind of penetrating this, because you hear stories of like, man, how'd you guys get into this? What was your trajectory? How did one thing lead to another? And as you're going through this, it's not just like, well, I knew this person who knew that person, they put me on. It's like at the end of the day, it goes back to what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
And what value are you really adding? On top of like, yeah, you're making really great songs and really great records to allow the opportunity to even like really happen. But before that comes the foundation. I mean, if you were like a really whack artist that just had like very amateur type shit, that probably would end very quickly. But the fact that you had that, it's often not enough just to have that. You have to like be very resourceful and use all these different things to kind of like get in where you fit in.
Well, that's definitely true, and it's like I know this whole time that the underlying story is good and interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, classical to this to that,
Yeah.
combining it all. But it's like the last couple of years have been so interesting because it's just been like, on some level, I just have to get good at making songs, And I didn't have those skills. I could write a symphony, but I couldn't write a song. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
And so, and so, and so it's just been like, I know
could
this
write
is
a
all going to
symphony.
add up ultimately. I know that
That's
the
fucking
destination.
catastrophic.
I know it's going to be something, but it's like I went to point C before I went to points A and B. And so I just
For
gotta-
real. You went to point
really
C,
nail
bro.
A and B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then
I
point
feel
C
you.
is going to
I'm
come in
semantic
and it's
warrior.
all going to go crazy, and I can't fucking wait. But it's like right now, it's just like that pre doesn't quite work yet. You know, it's just that every day.
What do you think is going to take you, like your own creative being, to get you there, or like how is it within yourself of like just that process of mind of like getting comfortable with growing and hitting those spurts at times where it's like from what you've accumulated, like what's that like for you?
I think it's gonna be a lot of steps and just like, you know, I know, for example, the live thing, which is, you know, I haven't done that much, you know, that'll be a process.
Yeah.
Just tour a bunch, get good at it, make it a killer live
I fucking love it, bro.
You know, and that'll be tight. But I think right now the biggest challenge is like believing in the vision of a song. It's like finding the balance of like what you know is truly in the song and what is just going to connect.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just make it all connect, because then it's nothing. Because that's where it just becomes like
that's utopian.
Yeah, it becomes like, well, we know this type of drop is big, so we're doing it. You know, it connects. Everyone likes it, you know. But just finding that balance of like it was really interesting playing that shit earlier, because just like you're into the weirder shit. Yeah. And the weird shit is what's important, because that's what actually, ideally, is every song is going to have that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, to me,
but I want to bring in the elements that I know resonate and like and pull it all together. And I try to do it like sober, like that is a really poppy song for me.
Yeah.
But then the drop has my like choir shit that I know only I can do that way, you know. And it's like I'm trying to find these, and it still has a tuba in it, which is like so weird, you know. But like the tuba's kind of tucked though, so it's like it's like constantly this balance of just like how fucking weird can I let this shit go?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like
without
the weird
before it's just like no one cares.
Yeah.
And I think you really hit it, because and you're discovering that balance, and you're doing it actually very well in the execution.
But it's hard.
Definitely. But I think the weird shit, and to me, the stuff why I'm drawn to it, and why I was drawn to even High in the Woods, is I've told you this when we first met, is like you're doing smart things that define for someone like me, and not on like some pretentious shit, but like I think people who are really fans of music and musicality, you're doing things that differentiate, is this real or is it not? Is this advanced or is this amateur?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a look at me, man. I'm not classically trained at all. Not that you have to be, but it's like the stuff you're doing is, and that's why I'm into more of the weirder shit, because I'm like, okay, I get it. It's real. This is advanced. This is smart. He knows what he's doing. This is like the real deal, versus, all right, this is just a good kind of written pop song, but there's a billion of these and I really don't give a shit about. I don't feel anything from this. Yeah. And I think when you go try to find that balance, I think your instincts are right, where you have to keep incorporating what brought you here to begin with. Yeah. You know, don't ever deviate from what got you to the stage, you know, and all those tools and incorporating them. That's what's ultimately going to define what you have and what's going to make you.
Yeah. Definition, like you said,
and
something that's unique.
Totally. And we live in an age where the most important thing is carving your own lane. Yeah. And I'm still listening to your music. I'm still trying to define what it really is. Yeah. Like, I don't really know yet where you fit in. I don't know if you're an indie artist. I don't know if you're an urban artist. For real.
Yeah, I know.
I don't actually know.
I feel like y'all growing together lightweight. You know what I'm saying? Like within that.
I have that thought a lot though, because it's like I am around a lot of rappers and a lot of hip hop producers, and like.
And I don't think you need
to connect with that so much.
I feel you. Yeah.
I don't think you need to choose.
I'm not Post Malone. Like, that's not, you know, as much as I fucking love Post Malone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's tricky. Like,
but you don't need it. And the beauty is you don't need to choose. And I think kind of. I love that that's a confusing thing. I love that that's like, it's what drew me to it to begin with. And that's why I keep saying, like, I was confused. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's because it's dope, but I don't really understand like where this falls in terms of like.
And does it need to though?
And it doesn't. And that
may be unusual though. Like, how many people out there look at something and say, what the fuck is this? I want more of it, you know?
Well,
almost everyone wants to be like...
Well, look at the opportunities you're getting, though. So obviously people are fucking with you.
For sure.
There, but it's like... It's just...
And also think about it this way, is that the motherfuckers that can say the what the fuck is this, give me more, are the ones that
Those are the ones that matter for sure.
the other ones are listening to in the first place.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And even if they're not, like that, what the fuck is this alone is intriguing enough.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and there's so many other factors, bro. Like, that's the beauty of all this. Like, like, Rausch's curiosity and, like, saying, what the fuck is this? Like, give it to me. Your, like, creative process on saying, what the fuck is this? But I'm, like, this is fucking lit. Like, I'm feeling this right now. Yeah. I just feel like that's one of the, like, the most beautiful untold story between, like, artist and fan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're growing with somebody, but you guys are all living different lives.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Mac Miller may have had fucking 14 and 16-year-old fucking, like, white girls and, like, you know what I'm saying, high school soccer players at his shows, and then delved into something more him in this moment now. Yeah. And you may start seeing associations, like, shift, like, way more, like, hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like every artist has the right to explore. And it's trip when people want to reach a certain level, and how beautiful, like, attaining whatever, like, you don't know what it is you're reaching for, that process is, because it's so free. Yeah. And it's almost storybook in your journey, because you came into this music shit with a blank slate. When it comes to what popular culture is now and what pop music is now, and what the bridging the gap between classical, like, I feel like it's crazy, because, like, how you're bridging the classical gap is starting with, like, the stones and the steel, as opposed to the foundation itself, because you're going to find the foundation down the line, but you know what you want the shit to look like.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly.
And once you have that foundation in, you're going to be able to put that shit in. It's like, it's almost inverse. Yeah. And that's, like, the gorgeousness of that shit, because you have, like, the stone ready, and, like, you have, like, the aesthetic, and you have
it does feel like you're putting up that house on quicksand sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it should, though.
Yeah.
And it should, though.
Yeah.
And it should, though, because nobody that's gonna move the masses is gonna be able to have it that easy. Yeah. Because if that was the case, then we're all fucked. Yeah. Let's just be real.
Yeah, no one's certain.
Yeah.
I think it is funny though, because it's like there's moments where people want to be like, oh, like you're making some generic pop shit, but it's like there's part of me that's just kind of like digging around, like, what does it feel like to write, like, a Sia fucking level shit, you know? Yeah. Like, that's something that, like, I want to know if I can do, you know what I mean? That's
For real.
That's crazy. That is hard as fucking. I think people underrate that. It's, it sounds
but you know what's crazy? But you know what's wild, bro? 25-year-old Sia couldn't tell you that either.
I know. That's true.
Neither could 30-year-old Sia tell you that.
I always joke in session. I'm just like, age doesn't matter. Sia's like 77. So, I mean. You know.
And she's literally the best in the fucking
She's
world.
literally 82.
For real?
She's literally.
I thought she was like 86.
No, she's definitely in her 80s.
Oh, she's like, incredible.
Pharrell. People don't know that Pharrell's 73. People just don't know that about him.
I mean, look, he's got that Sylvester Stallone, like, DNA. You know what I mean? Arnold.
Truly.
Stallone.
But I love pop music. I really do. And I think because I'm new to it. I haven't lived with it for 20 years.
I feel you.
I'm just like, oh shit, Rihanna is incredible. Like, Sia is the shit.
It's
like,
a trip how new it is.
I still want to just kind of like poke into that shit and see how it goes. Like, I don't know. I think that's part of it too. It's just like people want me to, yo, stay in your fucking crazy weird indie land. I'm just like, well, I kind of like.
Yeah,
I like that shit. I also just like fucking
and honestly, pop music
bangers.
Pop music is very cool. Like that. That's the
cool
thing.
Right
like
now. We're in a good year for that.
Yeah, we're in a really great place. Like, I mean, when you talk about Sia and Rihanna, like, I mean, pop music is cool.
Yeah, it is.
These are like banger and great songs that are just
it's definitely not
ferocial.
It's definitely not how it was like 10 years ago or something. Although it's still good music, but now it's like it's seen as high culture.
Yeah.
For real.
I don't even know what to make of that.
I mean, shit. Who does, though?
No, it's a great time. And it's a great time for music, too. And
I feel that way for sure. I also, like, I fucking go off on people that are like, man, music sucks now. It used to be. Like,
so good.
Like, I mean, there's so many fucking stupid things out there. Like, Dave Grohl, who I'm sure is a legend and is incredible. But there's this quote going around from him that's like, Like, music sucks now. Like, anytime the top, number one song is about somebody's butt, you've got a problem. And it's like, dude,
It's like, shut the fuck up.
Baby Got Back was number one when you guys were the biggest band on the planet.
Bro.
Like, it's always been songs about someone's butt. Like, it's just pop music. It's like,
bro. Tuck your fourth child in, and make sure the college tuition's paid for your other one.
It's just like no. I mean, David Grohl's he's a legend, but I'm just saying.
But there's times.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, there's always gonna be parents being like, your shit sucks.
Yeah.
I think we're in a great age for that shit.
And and look, everybody also has the right to be a snob in their own opinions.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm not going to listen to you.
When you can have something like Run the Jewels exist, where you
For
have
real.
like you have literally two 40-year-old rappers,
Factual.
two 40-year-old rappers getting together to do something just for fun and blowing up from it.
Crushing, bro.
The radio's great right now.
Actually, I haven't listened to too much radio.
I checked the
but I'm
Billboard
very
charts 'cause
deep
I'm
on.
just curious, and like, the top 40 is like it's really solid.
I feel you,
Post Malone is great. I think that shit's
bro.
really good.
And he's also an incredible human being.
Malone.
Yeah,
Nice too. He's king.
incredible.
He's king.
yeah.
It's really not.
Shout out to Dre London, Posty, and all that. Rex Kudo, all y'all.
There's a lot of nice music on there.
Yeah, Posty's amazing.
And first, goddamn,
Cardi B is incredible.
unreal.
She's
Like, it's
amazing.
really fucking
Unreal though. Like, bro, like imagine this in pop culture wise, right? People go to reality TV to like maintain relevance of like some sort and die, right? Just in terms of like pop culture view. Cardi B went on reality TV and glowed the fuck up.
She created a whole thing there.
Yeah.
That was
And
some
kudos
true
to her.
2017
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, for
The
real.
story could not have existed
But
any
but
other year.
but let's just be very real though. Like she's very authentic to who she is.
Very much. Yeah.
exactly.
That's the simple shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Like,
and that's
listen to her
And she's
record.
authentic to a story that hasn't been told yet, and I
Yes.
think that's just like people are looking for something about that type of life.
Well, I think authenticity like is now more than ever really like seeping through. I mean, you look at even Posty, like you believe him.
Yeah.
Like, and he's
You
literally
believe
throwing
him.
up on
But-
Instagram with his
Yeah.
belly out, chin out.
I mean,
mullet looking.
let's be really honest too, bro. Like back in Lil Kim's time, people believed Kim as well.
Yeah.
like they're very similar in that like dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kim is way more lyrical, like to that degree, but it just like goes to show what you came up on.
Yeah.
Right. But like that's the beauty of authenticity is like it's all in the eyes of the beholder. But as long as
I think that's the main thing too. Like you said, like maybe some people that value like lyrical quality are gonna look at today and be like, it's not,
yeah.
Kendrick accepted, but most other shit like they'll be like it's not on that level. But I think coming from classical too, like I don't care about technical skill as much as I care about like
Feeling.
original ideas and genuine humanity.
You believe
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's
It
why I think it's
shows,
easier
though.
for me to look at like a Kanye show that he was the Reading Festival where it was just him on a stage. There's nothing happening. Like no one's playing an instrument. No one's doing it. He's not even on the NPC. Literally it's just him on a giant thing. And it's just like, do you believe him or not? That's the entire quality of that show.
Fucking
right?
epic.
To me, that's what art is at its best. And it's like, it's not can this person play the viola really fast and nail all the scales.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care. It's not sports.
Right.
It's not technical prowess.
Yeah.
It's just like, do I believe in this or not? That is the whole purpose of this fucking
Yeah.
genre of art in general. And so I looked at stuff like that, and that's why I can look at someone like McConan, who like I don't
Fucking
feel like
star,
the
though,
technical skills maybe are not there on certain things that he
Yeah.
does, like whatever. He's not nailing it on the arrangements or some shit.
He's lightweight on his like.
But I know that
Bohemian
he's
Rhapsody.
doing his thing.
Yeah,
And, like, if people connect with it, it's because it was real, and that is the only thing that fucking matters in my opinion.
For
This other
sure.
shit, it's just like I just don't. I'm not going to a show to watch somebody shred on guitar anymore. I mean, I get why that was a thing, but that's not why. It's cool, but
yeah.
it's not. That's not going to change my life.
I respect it.
It's not going to make me cry. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
This has been incredible, man.
It really has.
I'm genuinely like, what's crazy, dude? I'm genuinely a fan. I feel like it's rare to, when you truly become a fan of something, not just like, oh, I like that song, but like you become a true fan. Like I'm buying into this. I get this. You're drawn to something.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to feel that with your music.
Yeah.
And now knowing you as a person, even more grateful. And so thank you.
And that's something that's rare too.
Very rare. Very.
You know what I'm saying you meet the person of one of your like favorite artists or your heroes. Like you may be completely yeah.
No, it's
that's
true
rare though.
For real.
No,
I appreciate that though. I mean,
yeah, man, it's been an absolute.
it's hard.
pleasure.
Like I don't know 100% that is all this shit's gonna come to fruition. You know?
Who does though, bro?
It already has though. Like here's the thing, man.
You know,
I know what it could be.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know
but
what's
up
wild?
until this point,
I believe
it's
it.
already it's already had impact.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you, like, it's going to.
Yeah.
So just like
For real.
it is.
I hope so.
It's a fucking honor, bro. Know that.
Yeah.
Like for real, for real.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The Beethoven shit was cool because it was like a moment of, like, that wasn't me. It was really about Kanye, but it was just like, music can transcend these boundaries.
For sure.
Like, you just need to get it.
Lightweight, your muse
And yeah,
was your
we rode
vessel,
the coattails
though,
of someone whose name is,
Yeah.
can sell tickets, but that was like they still enjoyed it after they were in the
For
it
sure.
wasn't just like, you know what I mean? It's like
For sure.
wasn't
You
just-
it
infiltrated.
made me believe that it's possible at least.
For sure.
I don't know.
And look, I can't wait to see where your mind's conception of what possibilities are as you continue going. Like, know that it's going to be a fucking beautiful thing to watch and experience and to feel. And I know that we're just starting. Like, this is one of those special ones. This is one of those special ones that, like, you look back on and be like, wait, what? Whoa.
Thanks for the fucking
Love.
encouragement.
Yeah, love.
No, for real though. Yeah.
It's unconditional type shit right now. Yeah. From two of your biggest fans signed off. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, for real. Mama, we made it!